Director just sent you the presentation that we received in hard copies here. So
Oh, okay.
she
I'm
just
sorry.
a few minutes ago from Smithbridge, and she forwarded the documents to you and Vice Chair.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have today's meeting agenda and all that stuff on here, so let me close that and let me look at it. Okay, here we go. Okay.
You have it?
I have it. Again,
I do. I have it. Okay.
Vice Chair, you have it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, we'll start the meeting. Everybody's okay? You ready? Okay. Okay, buenas and welcome everybody. This meeting is called to order. It's now Friday, March 6th, 2026. It's 2:53 p.m. We have a GALC special board meeting agenda. Friday, March 6th, 2025 at 2:30 p.m. Open to the public in person via Zoom. Oh, it says 2025 here. Good call. Corrections, 2026. Open to the public in person via Zoom and live streamed on YouTube at Guam Ancestral Lands Commission GALC channel. Public notice was published in the Guam Daily Post on Thursday, February 26th, 2026, and Wednesday, March 4th, 2026, and posted in the Government of Guam Public Notice Portal and the GALC website. Come here. What, Director, roll call?
Yes, sir. Chairman Ronald Eclavea,
Present.
Vice Chairman Ronald LaBonnia,
Estiga,
Secretary
Present.
Treasurer Anita Orlino. Here. Commissioner Angela Camacho,
Present.
Commissioner Maria Cruz has been excused from this meeting. Commissioner Louisa Westling,
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have 5 members present. You have a quorum.
So Jose Masi, Director. Okay, we move down to item 3, Smith Bridge Matters. A, license of the former Trans Steel 0.5 acre. And yeah, we do have a couple of requests by Smith Bridge. Director, shall we acknowledge the presence of Gita. We have Tony, right?
Yeah.
And we have a new,
Yeah.
oh, and Johnny Tavares. Okay. Tony with Gita.
Yes, sir. We'd also like to acknowledge Mr. Albert Smith
Our Smith present.
and Mr.
Clark Shaw.
Clark Shaw.
Welcome.
Schulman is a division manager of the concrete division of.
Okay.
You.
Okay, Director. Shall we do not have our legal counsel today. He's absent, but he did leave us a message.
Yeah.
So I would have you, Director, go ahead and read his message.
Yes, sir. This. I have another matter this afternoon that I have to cover for the AG. All I need from the commissioners, assuming they want to do a lease with Smithbridge, is to vote to set forth the terms of the lease. Example, I move that GALC enter into a lease with Smithbridge for lot number XXX for a term of so many years and an annual rent of so many dollars. Any other special or unique terms that the deal may require. With the essential information from the resolution, I can put a lease together quickly.
Okay, so just my Director. Okay, so that was our message from our legal counsel. Apparently, he feels that the board can act. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Albert?
On your agenda, you've got the license.
The amendment discussion first. Was wondering if I could ask you to change the order of the agenda to just go through my presentation first, so I can tell you about our view and the information we wanted to give you about.
I think that's a good idea considering, yeah, considering my site visit yesterday. Okay, so we're gonna move item item 3A down to, would it be after C?
Yeah, it's my suggestion that we do C first,
You want to do C first and then up to A?
then come back to A and B.
Okay. So we're gonna move down to C. It's okay with the board, right? No objections? Okay. So we're gonna move down to C.
We need to make a motion. Yeah,
No,
because no, we don't.
no, but it's it's still on the agenda. We're not removing it. We're just
Yeah, we-
reading the order. Yeah, so I don't think a motion is required.
It's my expectation that in discussing items A and B, you're going to ask some questions. And it's my expectation that the questions will probably be answered by the presentation. So if I give you the presentation first, it might reduce the number of
Okay.
questions.
Understood. So we're gonna move down to item C, presentation on progress, future plans, and request for a long-term lease. So you can,
So that
Make
the
your
first part of my presentation, section 1, introduction to Smithbridge.
you wanna have him,
Yes.
okay? And he already stated his name from the
Do you want
beginning,
me-
right?
do you want me to turn my mic on so that it is?
It's on already.
Sorry?
It's on already.
Okay.
We can hear you.
So it doesn't need to say his name. He said it before, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So Clark Shawman with me is the manager of the concrete division. So he's going to be responsible for managing this site in the long term. I wanted to first give you an introduction to Smithbridge. We came to Guam in 1992. We started off as a tenant up at the GGO property of Sammy Rock at the Sammy Rock Quarry. We purchased that quarry in the year 2000. And then we renamed ourselves to McConnell Smith for 3 years. And then in the year 2000, we became Smithbridge Guam. Those name changes were to do with our parent company back in Australia and New Zealand. We took in the McConnell family as a shareholder for a few years. The McConnell family were very well known to Guam in that they were the owners of Black Construction for a few years. So then we've been Smithbridge Guam since the year 2000. In the year 2000, we purchased the quarry at GGO from Sammy Rock. The owners of our business of Smithbridge Guam is a parent company called Smithbridge Group Proprietary Limited, and that's a family company based in Brisbane, Australia. The owners of Smithbridge Group is a family trust. The beneficiaries of the family trust is myself, my wife, my 3 children, my 7 grandchildren, and some other relations. All right. Smithbridge Guam has a board of 3 directors. I'm one of them. I'm 66. I've been coming to Guam now for over 30 years. My daughter Dashelle is 36. She lives in Brisbane. She lived in Guam for a year and a half pre-COVID and then went back to Australia and has stayed there. And then Graham Ridley is one of our senior managers. Graham Ridley's been with us on Guam since 2001. He's 70 years old. He's a construction engineer. He's got his whole life and family moved to Guam, owns his own home here. He's got his wife here, his only son and his granddaughter, and he's a permanent Guam resident. Been with our company, as I said, for 25 years. The Smithbridge Guam board is really to meet the statutory requirements and obligations. The management of the business reports directly to the Smithbridge Group board in Australia. We have a general manager here whose name is Alan Bell. Alan's 69 years old, born in 1956. He's been in Guam for the last 2 years, but he's been part of the Smithbridge organisation since 1992. The parent company of our business, Smithbridge Group, has me as a sole director. That means that we're now an American-controlled company because I've become an American citizen within the last year. Prior to that, I was only a New Zealand citizen. So our whole group is now American-controlled. I'm a sole governing director. Then we've had an advisory board that's been in place since 2013. The advisory board chairman is a ex-KPMG auditor, accountant, commercial manager. The second independent member is a guy called Mr. Greg Folks. Greg Folks knows his way around Guam. He was a senior Leighton manager in Manila, worked for the Leighton organization for a long time. He's been on our board since 2018. The third board member is Dr. Nick Smith. Nick Smith's my brother. He's 5 years younger than me. Nick Smith is a civil engineer. He was a politician in New Zealand, a senior politician for 30 years, and he's recently retired to be the mayor of his local city. And then Ben Smith is my son. Ben Smith is a civil engineer. He's a senior manager in our Australian business. As operations manager, he's on the board, and my daughter Dashelle, who's on the Guam board, she lived here for a bit as the other board member. So we have the 5 board members plus myself that run the business. All of the board members visit Guam. They visited Guam in February this year. Every 2 or 3 years, the family tend to come once a year, and the board come about every 3 or 4 years. Other businesses in our organisation, just so you get an understanding of what size we are. We have a crane business in New Zealand with 60 cranes and 80 employees, does about 20 million a year revenue. We're originally from New Zealand, so we lived in New Zealand before we came to Guam, and we moved our head office to Australia in the year 2002, I should say. Universal Cranes Proprietary Limited is our main business in Australia. It's a crane rental company with 150 cranes and 250 employees, does about 80 million a year of revenue. Universal Cranes North Queensland, we have a 50% partner in it. Our business model for many years, we had at one point 15 business partners. The guy that runs that spent 15 years on Guam for the first few years that we were here. He's now a shareholder in that business in North Queensland, so he has 60 cranes and 80 employees. And then I'm also involved in another business, Smith Cranes, in the South Island of New Zealand with my younger brother. That business has 250 employees, but I'm only minority shareholder, so we don't treat that as part of the group. So the Universal Cranes businesses and the Smithbridge Guam business combined has about 800 employees, basically 300 on Guam, 400 in Australia, and about 100 in New Zealand. Just so you've got an idea of the kind of organisation. I'm just trying to get you to understand what we are, what we do. So we started in 1993 in Gigo. We moved to Bellow Road for a few years. We became McConnell Smith for a few years. We purchased the Sammy Rock Quarry in the year 2000. We renamed our business to Smithbridge in the year 2000. In 2001, I had a 10% shareholder manager that ran the business for me for the first 10 years until 2001 when he retired. I had an employed manager, a guy by the name of Steve Radonich, who came to Guam in about 1999. He was the manager of the Smithbridge Guam business for 20 years until the year 2000, and Steve is still here. Steve now owns his own business called Guam Marine Services. So he's still on Guam. He's got about 50 employees, but he ran the company and was quite well known around the island for his involvement in Smithbridge. So I thought it might remove a little confusion for people to understand who was who in that small group of New Zealanders and Australians that are on Guam. We purchased the Rocky Mountain precast concrete business in 2003. We took the 2 managers in as shareholders in 2009. In 2014, we established J Planning as our tenant. We weren't involved in it at Gigo, so we ended up in the concrete business by mistake because we had a tenant on our property that we rented them land and they did concrete. We took over the Pears Quarry operations in 2015 and supplied concrete to aggregate, I should say, to Pears Concrete. In 2016, we sold out of Rocky Mountain Precast. So the 2 guys that run Rocky Mountain Precast are both ex-employees and they're both fellow New Zealanders. So we're still quite close to them and work with them a lot, but they're actually totally independent businesses. They're people that have come to Guam and made their rest of their lives here. So they're permanent, like Steve Radonich, that they're permanent residents on Guam and have their own businesses. In 2018, we purchased the J Planning concrete business. They were our tenant at Gigo. They got themselves into some financial difficulty and needed some help. And because they had a concrete plant bolted to the ground on our property, we got forced into the concrete business, not really by choice, but we had to collect our debt, so we took their concrete plant. We leased the Perez property from the Harmon family in the year 2020, just before COVID, and we established a precasting operation to make precast concrete for military housing. Then in 2021, the Perez family and the Taiwanese owners decided that they would exit the concrete business on Guam, and we purchased the concrete business from them. That put us seriously into the concrete business. We relocated our crane hire business to Harmon in 2022. We leased the Polaris site from you guys in 2022. We purchased the Perez concrete property in 2023, so we became the owner of the land at that site. That's now where our office is. In 2023, we also purchased some apartments at Ladera Tower, and we established our office at Ladera. So we were operating out of Ladera, and we're known to be connected to Ladera at that time. But this year in 2026, now we're the owner of the Perez business. We moved back to town, so we're now close by. It's a bit traffic to get here, but it's a lot closer.
So you're not at Ladera no more?
So we've got residents in Ladera. So at Ladera, we have apartments where our employees live,
Yeah,
but we don't have an office in Ladera
got
anymore.
it.
And then we established the concrete plant at Polaris Point of this in 2025. So the business in Smithbridge, Guam has 5 trading divisions: procurement and supply, which we run a store and we bring in materials for ourselves. We have a construction division. We run the quarry. We're in the ready-mix concrete business, and we have a crane hire division. Each of those 5 divisions has a manager, and all of those managers are local. Clark is the manager of the ready-mix concrete division. He joined us to look after the procurement and supply division and has transferred over. We also have a support function, finance and HR. They're all local people. Health and safety team is all local people. The workshop is local and the store. We do an annual revenue of about $80 million. We have 300 employees on Guam, so we've built up over 20 years from about 50 to 300 for the last few years. 95% of them are locals. We don't use H2 workers, largely because of the kind of work we do. We tend to do work that is engineering and skilled work, and because we're a long-term player, we have plenty of good local employees. We've got plenty of employees where we've got fathers and grandfathers and sons and grandsons work for us, so we have a lot of people that, just by nature, that Guam's quite a small place. Everybody's connected, so there's lots of people in our organisation that have been with us for a long time that are quite connected. You know, it's a very family-oriented community, and we sort of fit that ourselves. So we're not an employer of outside people. We've got 8 H1 workers. The H1 workers are visas, typically with university degrees. Some of them are engineers from the Philippines, and some of them are from Australia and New Zealand. And we only have 8 H2 workers. This category of H2 workers we bring are the senior extra qualified people. They're welders and senior crane operators at this point, but the rest of our workers are local. We've got local management in every division. We've got people both in Australia, New Zealand and Guam from all over the world. We're a very multicultural organisation. We're a long-term participant in the Guam economy. We've always had a policy that any profit that was generated by our business on Guam was reinvested in Guam, and that's why we've been able to grow and do the things that we do, that we like being on Guam. If you look at it from a strategic perspective from someone like us, New Zealand's a little island like Guam, and it's way, way further from where the centre of the business world is. So we see a lot of benefit for our organisation and our family in having investments in other places, and we like it here. So because we like it here, we've continued to grow, and every time we've done something, it's not like we've been taking our profits out of Guam, we reinvest our profits here. And hence we do more things and employ more people. So we've always been a big supporter of the Trades Academy. We're of the view that that there's plenty of good people here to be trained, and so we've assisted quite a bit with that. Just today, we did some help for the Trades Academy. We purchased a building for them 5 years ago when they weren't in a position to buy it, and we had a deal with them that they would buy it. So the Trades Academy today closed on the purchase of that, where we had an arrangement with them that we funded the building, bought it for them, and on-sold it to them. Graham Ridley, who's our board member, was a founding member of the Trades Academy board, and he's still on it. So we're very oriented towards supporting the locals and the economy here. The young people on Guam, people think that the Trades Academy is about building tradesmen for Guam, but it's about giving our young people opportunity to let them go so that when they go and get to Hawaii or America, they get there as tradesmen from Guam. And it's really starting to work. It's a great organisation. At Polaris Point, we got involved. We identified a need in about 2019 or 20 that there's growing activity at the port. We know that the military have had a big spend up with the Camp Blas base, but the expenditure over the next few years, a significant proportion of it's going to be at the port. We're a port-related organisation, so we saw a need to establish a base at Polaris Point, and we got ourselves to the point where we're going to come to you and seek approval to sublease the piece of land that Matson have got. So we know the site very well. We've worked with Dan Swaverley for many years, so Dan has been helping us with that. In 2022, you put the bid out for the Polaris Point site, and so we bid the site. We didn't really need it all. The Limtiako clan were looking for 3 acres of it, so we were working with the Limtiako people at that time. We did the transport for them for the power station, so we were working quite closely with them and got to know them quite well. And so then we said, well, okay, you only want 3 acres. We only need 10, so we bid together and leased the 13 acres from you, and the bid included the proposal to you that you're obviously aware of it at the time of the lease, that Pacific Unlimited took 3 acres. Pacific Unlimited needed to start their activities sooner than us, so we gave them the area that was already cleared. So all we had to do on the piece they went on was basically mow the grass. So they were able to get into action quickly because we cut the grass. So they've got the section of the site that's right next door to the Matson site at the route one end of the site. So when you drive around the corner and go towards it, there's the Matson gate. Then there's a piece that's part of our lease that they have, and that's where they've been right from the beginning. Then in January 2024, we got an urgent requirement from the military to supply rock from the Guam quarry to Tinian for the Tinian project. The requirement there was to supply 600,000 tonnes of rock over a 3-year period and export it by barge to Tinian. So we needed a laydown yard at Polaris Point. So if you open up the photograph list that I gave you, the bigger size sheets, and if you have a look on this photograph here, this photograph here is in July 2025. On the left-hand side, on the very left-hand side in the corner, you can see the area that is the Limtiako area. And then you can see a concrete slab. So the concrete slab is this slab here, the piece that's got the containers on it. That area was the storage area to go to Tinian. So we had to move the rubbish, clear the area, and create that little area to enable us to export rock to Tinian. And the target at that point, that was in January 2024, the military's requirement was for us to export rock by June 2024. So we cast that concrete slab. So we moved a whole lot of rubbish and cleaned it up, put it in a stack in one corner to make that site available. We didn't need a clearing permit to do that because you didn't have to do any earth movement. We poured a slab on the ground and have to, we'll just remove the slab. Before we talk about that, and I think I've got it further on, the other thing we did is during the first year of our lease in 2023, we took up the lease in August 22. When we went on to the site early in 23, you'll recall that there was a condition of the lease that we had to go and identify the contaminated material. There was oil in drums that was leaking on the ground and it was untidy. So that what we had an obligation to do was to come to you, get a report, bring you a budget and tell you what we could do to make it safe. When we went and investigated it, the quantity was quite small and the cost to clean it up was less than $10,000 and the drums were rotten and it was to the point where it was going to leak in the ground, or if we moved any of the drums, they would break and spill oil. So we made the decision to not waste time and energy coming to get permission. We went and got the professional cleanup company, and we cleaned up all the oil straight away. And for the sake of $10,000, it would have cost more than that in time for all of us to talk about it. It was better just to make it safe straight away. So that's what we did. So we've never sought compensation for that cost because it was small relative to the guts of things. So once we'd done that, we got to the point where the site was safe. There was the issue, of course, that if you spill oil in the ground, it can turn to a big deal, particularly when you're very close to the ocean. So then in May 2024, the military decided that the cost of exporting aggregate from Guam was way too expensive, and so they put that project on hold. That project's been on hold from May 2024 until now to March 2026. And just last week, we've been informed that they're now redesigned their runway and they're going to make a way to build the runway on Tinian using the rock that they can mine on Tinian. Tinian's got limestone, the same as Guam, but it's a little bit softer. And so they had to do some smart engineering so that they could make the soft rock good enough for the runway. So now there's going to be no export from Guam to Tinian. And it was a huge cost of American taxpayer money to take our rock. I'm not sure that we really want to send our rock there anyway, but even if we did, from the taxpayer's perspective, it was a very expensive. So they were driven to save taxpayer money to not export the rock. Then in January 2025, during 2024, we applied for the clearing and grading permit to get permission to clear the site. And we got that grading permit on the 15th of January 2025. So prior to that, we could store stuff there and we could mow the grass, but we couldn't really cut the trees down or do too much. In January 2025, we won a contract with Black Construction to supply ready-mixed concrete for the Guam breakwater. And that's why we built the ready-mixed concrete plant. So if you go to the photograph sheets and you have a look at the second photograph, that one shows you the ready-mixed concrete plant that we've just built. Now, that ready-mixed concrete plant is an investment of approximately $5 million. So I was going to explain to you, for everybody's interest, what the project for the Black Construction job was all about. So it's explain the Black Construction project slide on the presentation. Black Construction have got a contract to make 6,000 concrete blocks. They're going to make 2,000 blocks per year for 3 years. Each block takes 3 truckloads of concrete and weighs 50 tons. So it's a block called an acropod. It's a funny shaped piece of concrete and it goes on the breakwater so that the waves can't bust into the harbour. So our contract is to supply 150 loads of wet ready mixed concrete per week for 3 years. We started pouring that concrete in December. The objective of the Polaris Point concrete batching plant is 2 things. It's to reduce the cost. Obviously, we're business people. We're motivated to minimise the operating costs, so the shorter travel distance for the concrete saves money. And we're motivated to take 150 trucks per week off the road, driving through the traffic up Route 1. That's obviously there's delay, cost and hassle in doing that. Part of this project uses imported stones. So I wanted to explain to you what the imported stones is all about. The breakwater is about putting blocks of concrete under the ocean on the batter that the waves won't move. The stones that we mine in Guam have got a specific gravity of 2.4, and they were motivated to use very heavy stones. So they're buying this very heavy stone with a specific gravity of 2.9, comes all the way from Canada. Costs $120 a ton for this rock by the time they ship it here. And so the weight is 2.9, so it's 1/3 heavier in the water than the stones, the rock made out of Guam stone. So they're motivated to put heavy stuff in the water so that the waves don't move it. So we had to build a big stockpile area for the stones. So if you have a look on these photographs, on this photograph, you'll see on the left-hand side, you can just see the edge of the stone stockpile. So that's 1 shipload of stones. 54,000 tons of stones came in a ship in December, and there's another shipload coming next week. So we had to pour a concrete slab to put those stones on. So we got a subsidy as part of that contract. We were able to clean up some more rubbish and pour some more concrete, and we paid for about half of it, and we got a subsidy via the black construction contract from the military. So that means that we've been able to move all the rubbish and consolidate it into a stockpile, to grade the site and pour concrete slabs over it, and clean up with a combination of our investment in the site and with subsidies that we've received from the military, partially via the breakwater contract and partially via the Tinian contract. So as the landowners and as the community of Guam, we've enjoyed subsidies in that cleanup. That cleanup was going to be very expensive, and so we've enjoyed subsidies that we've subsidised it a bit ourselves by investing in it to make our operation more efficient, but the military have paid their fair share via these contracts to help improve it. So then we made a decision. We've got a 5-year lease. We made the decision to invest in the batching plant on the basis that it was economically viable over the 5-year period. So there is some risk to us. Our lease ends at the end of 5 years in August 2027. And this project, the project is going to take 3 years, and we're going to finish casting blocks in the middle of 2028. So in the unlikely event that the lease gets ended.
It's okay.
Sorry?
Nothing.
Yeah, so the batching plant is a Meccano set. It comes and it gets bolted together. We got the building permit for the batching plant in October 2025 because it's a big permanent structure, so you need a building permit. Took us 3 months to put it together. In the event that the lease does not get extended beyond the 5 years, we'll unbolt it and take it away and put it in another location. The batching plant's got steel piles underneath it. It's got very high cement silos, and they want to tip over in an earthquake. So it has piles so that it doesn't tip over. And so we use steel piles, because with the steel piles, if we have to, we'll take the piles back out of the ground. So if for some reason, some other tenant or something happens that we have to leave the site, we'll take our batching plant away and we'll pull our steel piles out and take them home. We've got plans for stage 2 of the development, and we'll be continuing with that work on the basis of our 5-year lease. We've got a weighbridge on the site, and if you go back to the first photograph. Which one is it? Sorry. This photograph here with all the silos in it. On this one.
Yeah.
You'll see that there's a weighbridge in here, about there. Now that weighbridge was put in to weigh the material that came in for the black construction contract from America, from Canada. That is, as we bring the aggregate in, we need to know how much they got to make sure we got it. So we drive it over a weighbridge. So we put the weighbridge in a temporary location because we needed to be weighing aggregate at the same time as we were constructing a concrete batching plant. The next stage of our project after the next shipment goes in is we're going to move the weighbridge to a permanent location, and it'll go beside the cement silos in the batching plant. So if you have a look at that photograph of the batching plant, you'll see beside the silos in here, the weighbridge is going to be moved to this location. And we're going to do that as part of the 5-year lease. The weighbridge is a movable device. So once again, if the lease terminates, we'll pick the weighbridge up and take it away. Then the next stage of our work is we're going to process the scrap, process the tyres, sort the rubbish, and hopefully end up with some clean fill that we can either use on the site or move it on. And so we'll be, when we finish the batch plant construction over the next month, the team will move over and they'll start processing tyres and processing scrap. The business with processing tyres, there's a big stack of tyres that were there from the previous residents. You chop them up with a chopping device into pieces that are about the size of your hand. We put them into a shipping container and we ship them off to either Korea or Taiwan or possibly Vietnam, and they use them for fuel in the cement industry or for fuel in a power station. So they don't give you any money for them. We have to chop them up at our own cost. And when we understand what that cost is, we're going to come to you and say, hey, look, this is the cost. We might need to get some assistance with the cost of it. and then it goes off. We are hoping that we can send it to the same place that we buy the cement from, because the ship's going there anyway. So we're going to have a job of chopping up tires and putting them in containers. Then we take the scrap steel. There's 3 piles of scrap steel. There's scrap steel that's owned by Pearson. There's scrap steel that's owned by the GALC that was laying on the site when we got there. And there's some Smithbridge scrap steel. Scrap steel from Guam at the moment leaves Guam containerized. They press it up with a press and they put it in a shipping container and they send it out in a container because there's only very small quantities. It's squashed up washing machines and motor cars and things like that. This big scrap is much harder to export. You need to do it in bulk. And so you have to chop it up into pieces that are less than 1 metre long. So the maximum size is a piece that's about the length of the width of the table, because that's all the machines can handle. So the job of processing it is to cut it up into 1 metre long pieces and then weigh it so you know how much you've got. So we're going to set up a crane with a magnet and a hydraulic grab to pick the pieces up, and a chopping machine to cut it up, and we're going to cut it all up into 1 metre pieces and build a big stockpile of it. We expect to build a stockpile of about 4,000 tonnes, including the scrap that belongs to you guys and the scrap that belongs to Pearson. And then it's our plan that when we bring a cement ship in, we'll load the scrap on. So our vision is to send a scrap load out in June. Next page is, the scrap and the tyres, we'll start work on that over the next 2 months. When we understand the real cost of processing the tyres and the scrap, then we're going to come to you with a proposal about that cost. It's our hope that the lease will be long enough that you don't have to put your hand in your pocket, that you might be expected to contribute some of the rent towards it. And until we understand the real cost, we can't tell you what it's going to be. What we do know is that if we picked up all of the rubbish and took it over to the dump, it was going to cost $2 million. And so that's why it hasn't been moved yet, because it's very expensive to handle that quantity of material. We're obviously hoping that it's going to cost a fraction of that by processing it, by doing it properly. So then the vision, if we extend the lease, we plan to build, this is this slide we're on to now. So the next stage, and if the lease is extended, we'll build a cement store. What we now do is we bring cement in what they call jumbo bags. This picture here shows what jumbo bags look like. So instead of bringing the cement in a bulk ship is like a tanker that you pump it in and pump it out like an oil tanker. They bring it in these bags. So the equipment for handling the bags has got a whole lot more efficient with modern machinery. And if you bring the cement in bags in a bulk ship, you can bring other products in. It allows you to bring different products. So when you bring bulk cement, you can only bring one product. But to make modern concrete, we need ordinary cement, rapid hardening cement, fly ash and slag are all different additives to concrete. When it comes in a bulk tank, you can't mix it up. But when it comes in a bag, you bring bags of each separate product. So it's a better technology for what's required. So then at the moment, we bring our bag cement in. We have a warehouse that we've leased behind Mark's Hardware at Anigua. And we have another warehouse at our own site at Harmon, and we truck the cement up to those locations and we put it in the warehouse and then we truck it back to the concrete plant. So the long-term aim is to build a cement warehouse at the Polaris Point site to improve the efficiency of the cement handling. Then that's stage 3, and so the stage 3 development will only proceed if we can get an extended lease. If we can't get an extended lease, we'll have to put it in another location. The building is not relocatable. The concrete batching plant is like a Meccano set, so you can pull it to bits and move it, but the building is not so easy to move. So we don't want to build the building if we're only going to be short term. Stage 4 of our development is to build a steel store. And so if you have a look at the photograph, I can tell you where that will go. If you go back to this photograph here. So If you look at the bottom of the photograph, you'll see there's a gap between the back of what's the aggregate store building. This building here is a temporary building made out of containers and Bailey Bridge, and that's for the storage of the aggregate that goes into the concrete. You need to put the aggregate under cover because it's very important that the concrete doesn't get too hot. So you've got to take the aggregate out of the sun. So you have a roof over top of it to keep the sun off it so it's not so hot. And so that's the aggregate store. There's a gap between the aggregate store and the boundary to Limtiako. That's that space in there. It's their long-term plan in that space. That's the space here. It's our long-term plan to build a steel warehouse on that site. That's the space in here. So stage 2 is to process scrap. Stage 3 is to build a cement warehouse. Stage 4 is to build a steel warehouse. When I say a steel warehouse, a warehouse to store steel, not a warehouse made out of steel.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The warehouse will probably be made out of steel, but the purpose of the warehouse is to store steel products. Next slide is about the relationship that we have with Mr. Pearson. So Mr. Pearson, John Pearson, was employed by Smithbridge in the 90s for a couple of years, so we knew him quite well already. He was quite good friends with one of our employees. One of our employees is now our shareholder in our business in North Queensland, and him and John Pearson have had contact with each other for years via friendship. So we knew what he was doing was scrap, and we knew where his operation was. So we designed our concrete plant so that our concrete plant doesn't encroach on that land because we don't have a lease on that land. We talked to John and we arranged to understand what he was doing. He'd been collecting scrap because he's a scrap dealer. He's got a lot of experience. He's exported 15 shiploads of scrap out of Guam in his career. So he's recently been working down in Ponape doing demolition of old power stations and exporting scrap. So he's got some knowledge and some valuable skills that will be useful. He's got he tells us that he's got 1,500 tons of scrap on that site that he's collected up, that he's brought around the island, and he's very motivated to process it and sell it. And you can understand, he tells us, and he's the man that knows about it, that scrap is worth somewhere between $200 and $300 per ton after he's processed it. So if he's got 1,000 tons, he's got somewhere between $200,000 and $400,000 worth of scrap. So you can understand John's motivation that he spent a few years as a scrap dealer collecting all the scrap up. He wants to sell his stock, which is perfectly fair. So we've talked to him and he's going to teach us how to process scrap. We're going to process his scrap. Then we're going to process your scrap. Then we're going to process our scrap. And hopefully we're going to make up a load of scrap that we can export the scrap using his expertise. So at the moment, his license was terminated by you guys by agreement because I went to John and said, John, let's move your stuff over here. So we moved all his stuff for him. Then we've given him an area so that he didn't fight the termination of the lease because we understood his objectives. So he didn't argue about your terminating the lease because we'd set it up so that it was no grief to him to do it. And so then he'll process the scrap and we'll let him stay there until such time as the scrap has been processed. Then we're hopeful that he's going to teach us about the scrap business and hopefully he might come and work with us and he might become our scrap division manager is our vision.
Can you outline it on the, where he's got the scrap at, on the,
Yeah. So if you have a look at this picture,
okay,
and this picture here,
just the picture?
Okay.
yep. So if you see where the cement silos are, here, his scrap, his area is that line there and there. And we keep that area clear because we can't build anything on that area because it's only a month-by-month arrangement. So we picked his scrap up and his scrap is over here by the boundary. So that pile there is his scrap.
Can you go ahead and show it also to the other board members? Point to it again on the screen.
Point that out.
Yep. Point it out to the board members on the screen. So I lift it up a little bit more. Up and, oh, there you go.
The original area was here
That's where Pearson was at.
Yeah.
and we took that scrap and we put it up here.
And along with our scrap, GALC parts of,
So there's two stockpiles. There's actually three stockpiles of scrap adjacent to each other.
Each other.
There's the GALC scrap that we collected up from all around the site and made it into a pile.
Right.
And there's the Pearson scrap that we put in a pile. And there's a little bit of Smithbridge scrap that we've since.
It's all in
taken-
that area right there,
It's all in that front corner area.
right there. Okay.
I'm,
Only speak up. Yeah, never recommended
The thing I don't like is if when we even build, they let us know what it's gonna do, right? So we all.
I'm a little bit skeptical about Mr. Pearson's suggestion that there's 1,500 tons of scrap with a value of $300,000.
Yeah.
But I'm not a scrap expert. I'm a construction guy. So we're going to learn from him. So we've gone out and invested in the equipment to process scrap. All of his equipment went off to Ponape and it was getting old and wasn't suitable. So we bought the chopping machine and we bought the magnet and we bought the finger grab.
So you have those already,
So he
right?
told me all the equipment that he needs. So he's going to come back from Ponape within the next few weeks and we're going to set him up with the equipment and he's going to teach us how to process the scrap if he's got the right equipment. When he's got his scrap processed, if that goes well, then we'll process the scrap that's owned by you guys. And if his stockpile of scrap is 1,500 tons, then it's my guess that your stockpile is probably 500 tons.
Yeah.
Just looking at it to guess. And so the 500 tons of scrap may have some value to help us cover the cost.
So,
There's also quite a bit of scrap buried in the rubbish stockpile that we might be able to.
so you're skeptical what he's saying is 300,000, that's for sure,
He
right?
tells me that he's got 1,500 tons.
Tons, and you're
He
skeptical,
thinks he's going to get 300
thousand,
ton for it.
yeah.
I've got my doubts, but let's wait and see. But whatever happens, whether we get zero for the scrap
Yeah,
or we get 300 a ton, and whether it costs us $50 a ton to chop it up or it costs us $200 a ton to chop it up, we still have to chop it up and we still have to export it. So we just got to get on with it and learn. And so
understood.
it's our plan. We'll make sure we've got lots of photographs and we'll make sure we've got lots of good, accurate diaries so we all get to understand what the real process of the scrap exercise is.
Very good. Very good.
So as I said earlier, what we did, stage one of our cleanup work, we made it safe by getting rid of the oil. Stage two, we sorted the rubbish into an area. And there's a series of photographs in the photograph stack that you can see through the process of sorting the rubbish. But if you have a look at one of the bigger photographs, that's this series of photographs here. And so we took photographs and we dated the process so you can see what we were doing over time as we were moving the rubbish. Then we've also had surveyors measure the volume of the rubbish. So we've got photographs at each date and we've got surveyed volume of what the rubbish was there so that we can all understand what we're dealing with. And of course, you can understand the Smithbridge motivation was to make sure that people understood what we're doing because we were going ahead moving rubbish around and we had to do stuff to satisfy the contractors. And so we wanted to be able to make sure we had a record so people could see what we'd done so you knew what had gone on.
So the first image,
Yeah, have a look at this photograph.
Yeah.
I could just explain to you where the rubbish is now. So over time, the rubbish was consolidated. And if you have a look up here, that and that is the aggregate. There's the stones that have come from Canada. And this area here is the rubbish stockpile.
okay, board members, I'd like you to get a very clear view of where he's pointing out where the stockpile is at right now. It's right next to that's the basalt, right?
That's correct. So
Next
the
to the
side of
basalt.
the salt is the rubbish
Right.
stockpile. So it's got a concrete wall between it. And so we had the rubbish stockpile quite low. And in the last few weeks, in order to get ready to process the rubbish, what we've done is pick the rubbish up and you'll see if you have a look, see it's got a road that goes up onto the stockpile. And what we were doing is we took a gap out. You'll see, remember it from yesterday, Ron.
Yeah,
We dug out a gap between the tyre stockpile and the rubbish stockpile and built the pile up higher. And the reason for that is we've created an area where the operation can be that's going to process it. So we were running out of space. So it cost a few dollars, but we were just getting short of area. So we had to pick up some of the rubbish and drive it up a hill and put it up on top of the stockpile and make the pile higher. So we had enough area to put the machinery in to do the sorting.
so just to be clear, we got the scrap yard on the top right. And then we have a tire section right up at
back
that
corner.
on the back of the top, you can see the tires right there. And then here's the mound that I walked up yesterday here.
Yeah.
That's the trash mound. Yeah, so it's got you know, bits of broken tires, you know, metal and yeah,
The trash is full of plastic
plastic
and
and
steel.
steel,
And
yeah.
it's biodegradable rubbish that's been there so long is already degraded. So there's a lot of soil and scrap and general rubbish. But when we start sorting it, it's my view that if we can get ourselves to be efficient to break it up, then I think we'll find that we'll separate out and get quite a bit of clean soil out of it. So soil and take the soil out, take the scrap out, take the tires out. What's left will have to go to the dump, but we're hoping that we're going to reduce the tonnage that goes to the dump to be a whole lot less.
Yeah, so you want to explain that a little bit more and
The
get
plan
it?
will be to screen it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the way we've designed the grading on the site, Ron, you'll see how we had that going along the site. That is, if you look at the site here, you see along here between the rubbish and the back of the site, there's a drainage line goes along here,
Right.
and then it goes out, and underneath these containers is a ponding basin,
Right,
which is part of the EPA approved drainage site. This
right.
is all designed so that in the future we can fill from there to the road and fill from there to the road. So when we get that rubbish and we get the clean fill out of it, we may be able to use the clean fill to grade the site, so we don't have to take it off the site. So the levels have been designed with a target to use the clean fill that comes out of the rubbish. That is, you have a drain that goes from one end of the site to the other, which is a concrete drain that's already poured, because you've got to pick up the stormwater that gets collected on these concrete slabs and put it to the ponding basin. And those levels have all been designed so that we can drain the site into those by filling.
So the idea is, what really concerns the board, I see the scrap is going to be addressed.
The
And
scrap
then
is
we have
gonna
the
be
tires, of course,
exported.
the tires already look, most of the whole
Tires
tires
are going to be exported.
sports, and that big mound there, which is the concern of the board, would, your strategy is, a lot of it is, how you're hoping is basically good soil,
There's-
just
There's
soil,
tires, so the tires go into the stockpile and you chop them up and send them away.
right,
The scrap goes over to the scrap stockpile.
right.
The rubbish goes away to the dump. And
And then-
what's left is screen soil, and it's either soil to go to a garden or it's fill to go into the ground.
Right, and it's, you're hoping that that's a big bulk of it, and then what's left over is a significant
Yes,
difference in the mass that we're seeing there.
that's correct.
And
And so
sifting it,
we're
the sift-
hoping that we're going to reduce it. There's 21,000 cubic yards in the stockpile. I'd like to think that more than half of it is soil that can stay on the site.
I see. And that sifting, you did show me some sifting, rebar
Cross
sifting.
section, yeah.
Yeah, so it's something similar to that you would
So
be.
we've been doing trials. As we've developed up our plan, we've been doing little bits and having a bit of a test to see whether it
Oh,
goes.
I see.
We're now ready to go and do, and what we'll do is we'll put a crew on it, and we'll put a crew on it, and they'll focus on it for 1 month, and then we'll understand the real cost.
Got it.
If we get a very pleasant surprise and the cost is not as bad as we think, we're very hopeful that we can be good tenants and we can come to you and say, hey, boys, we worked it out. It's not going to cost you any money. And we
Okay.
hope that that's the outcome, but we're not going to promise to do that
Got
until we prove to ourselves. So we want to demonstrate to you what we're doing, but we're not going to promise to do something that we're not sure yet whether we can do it.
I see. So is this new territory? Is this, it hasn't been done before in the
Yeah,
past, like?
it's a little bit new to Smithbridge, but you take what happened after Mawa, and you go out the back of Barragata opposite by the sports field,
Yeah,
and they collected it all up. And then they went in with processing equipment and they chopped it up, and some of it went away and got burned, some of it got exported as scrap. All that stuff was all quite
so
lightweight
it's a
scrap.
similar process then, right?
Very
Except this one's dealing with soil, right? The soil.
Yeah, and what's happened, of course, is that it was spread all over the site, and over the years it's been moved around and got mixed up with soil. So it's got a lot more soil in it than you would have in the likes of an ex-Mawa, because the Mawa stuff, it came in and went out of that yard within 1 year. Whereas this stuff was collected up mostly, I think, from Pong Song Wa. So it was collected up 20 years ago. It's been moved around a few times and it's got mixed up with dirt.
Okay. So hopefully,
And the other problem that it's got is that there were scrap dealers there, and the scrap dealers were taking scrap and storing it. So there's a combination of scrap and rubbish and typhoon rubbish and all sorts of stuff in there.
yeah. So the hope is that this screening process would bring down the mass and the scope of the cost of
Yeah,
the whole thing.
Well, we know that the worst case scenario is that you start an operation tomorrow, you cart it all over to the dump and you spend about $2 million.
Right,
That was recently done. The EPA had that up at Dido. There was a site up there that was similar. And when we know from what that cost,
understood, yeah.
enough people around the town know what the costs are to do that stuff. So that's the backup plan. So the worst case is we spend $2 million carting the scrap away.
Right.
But well, it doesn't matter whether it's Uncle Sam's money or the GALC's money or my money. We've got an obligation not to waste money. So just because someone else paying for it, that's not the point. We'll do it for the lowest possible cost.
Could we get some input from the board regarding this? Because this is very critical on this part right here. If any board members want to bring up any questions regarding. Yes, okay, Mr. Camacho?
Has this all been vetted with Guam EPA?
Yes, they've been involved all the way. So early on in the process, in January 2025, after we got the clearing and grading permit, once we got the clearing and grading permit, we're able to go down there and chop down enough bush and get a front end loader and then push the trees down so you could walk around and look. Then we got to understand the stockpile. Then we went to the EPA and got them to come and have a look so we could see what we're doing. And we had a plan to entomb the scrap. You'll remember I wrote to you and said, we've got a plan to entomb the scrap. What we're going to do is put it in a pile about 2 meters high and pour a concrete slab over and just bury it all. And so we went to that. The EPA said that that process was technically feasible. We'd gone to external consultants to get advice about the technical feasibility. If there's no nasty chemicals in the scrap and you put a seal over the top so the rainwater can't wash through it, that's okay. The problem was that in order to do that, the approval process was going to take at least a year. We just couldn't wait 1 year. So we abandoned that. We started that plan in January last year, and by about April, I think by the end of April, we decided to abandon it. So we came via GIDA. We said, we'd like to try this. GIDA said, good idea. If our customer GALC can get rid of their scrap for free, of course, we'll do it. You better go to EPA. Then we went to EPA and EPA said, yes, this is technically viable, but it'll take a long time to get permission to make sure it's done properly. So we decided not to do it.
But this is, it is something that EPA.
Now, don't worry about EPA. EPA got their goggles on us, quite rightly.
I just want to make sure we're working.
Yeah.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah, so-
They're
so-
the experts in that.
Mm.
And.
Yeah, no, to get the building permit to build the batching plant, you've got electricity, environmental, agricultural,
Right.
EPA, all of those agencies have all got to come and have a look and see what's going on. So everybody's been up there watching where it's at to check on what we did. We used a consultant. We used a consultant called TG Engineers to help us. What actually happened was the TG Engineers did a very poor job. They cost us a lot of money for not very much. Then we started dealing with EPA. The people at the EPA gave us quite good advice about what to do. We changed the design on basis of the advice from the EPA people that they're quite sensible. And so the way the site works, the clean stormwater flows out through the ponding basin to the ground, but the stormwater and the stuff that gets contaminated by the concrete gets collected up and goes into a processing system. And that's all EPA requirement.
Personally, I just prefer this plan than the burying and getting stuff with it. So I'm
And
thankful that you're looking at the different.
yeah, and so that's exactly why we changed direction. If the primary objective was minimum cost,
Right.
you could have buried it. And so we went along, so hey, you could do this, but a combination of the gut feeling from the advice, and I'm assuming it was coming from you guys, but it was coming via Diego, was we'd really rather not. EPA said, well, yeah, we could do this, but it'll take a year to get permission. We said, okay, forget that. So of course, consequently, we've still got the stockpile of rubbish. And so then we put our minds to how we process it.
EPA has been most concerned with water and emissions. And so the most that we've dealt with them is on the stormwater drainage plan. And then obviously we're not burning the tires here, and so they don't. They're happy to see the tires go somewhere else.
I think,
We did look at burning the green waste, but the volume was so small. So when you burn green waste, there's a process, and the military are quite tight with it. So the Lintiarcos and the
LMS.
LMS business have both got burning devices, and so they have a burning device that's a big box, and it blows air in it, and it makes a very hot fire, and it kind of reburns the smoke, so it doesn't give off much smoke. And so we looked at using that, and in the end, because the quantity of green waste was quite small, we just trucked it away to the LMS, took it to their processing facility. But we've been learning a whole lot about that as well.
before you came in, I'm not sure Joey or maybe Gita might have some information with regard to our history with Gita before anything was done on the property. Before we got, before Smithbridge was involved, what was our history with Gita on the property? Remember, it was. Yeah, I think Diego might have the information, or Mike. I think that was prior to you, Joey. You have any information of that? Did did Gita come and give any warnings for us of that? I don't even recall if Gita.
Do you mean EPA?
I mean, I'm sorry, EPA. I'm sorry, EPA, yes, EPA. Environmental Protection Agency. Did we have any issues with that throughout the years?
I think they will have done, because the bid document that you put out, that GITA put out a bid document that we responded to, and in the bid document there were reports. So there have been reports that were done about what was on the site. And the only thing that we got from it, I was expecting there to be a lot more oil and liquids. So we were pleasantly surprised when we went and got the consultant. So if you read in the lease, you see there was a condition of the lease that we needed to get somebody in there to deal with the oil problem. When we got them there and they went and surveyed it after the month, there was a lot less of it than we thought. That what we all thought was going to be quite a big problem. So it was an under $10,000 fix. There was no point in writing a whole lot of reports on it, because the report would have cost $10,000, and the guy said, "I'll come and take it away for you for less than $10,000.
What I was amazed at was how much trash was mixed in with, it just metal, and it just looked like you're walking into, the old order dump. There was, it just, apparently, who was there, we had there before, was just indiscriminately accepting all these things and just not sorting them and putting them. They were just in one, different. I noticed that in a couple of your pictures, you had pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, and pile 4. What was that?
We separated it out. So there was a little piece. So there was
Oh,
tires.
you're the one that separated it out.
Yeah, well, there was tires all over the place and stuff all over the place, and we went and picked it up and sorted it a bit. So the photograph, if you go into this set here, you have a look in that set of photographs, that can show you the sorting process after we got to sort it out.
So
And all those little piles are all different bits of stuff. But, there's green waste and there's scrap steel.
Here it is in this video, pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, pile, right. So are you the one that did this?
We sorted it out.
You
that
sorted it out? You're saying you
when
sorted?
we went there, you couldn't walk across the site. You couldn't drive a farm tractor across the site because it was just everywhere.
Well, and remember, when we first came to the site, it looked like that.
You mean like the green here?
Yeah, it was almost full jungle.
Right, I remember, yes, that's the only part I
So
could see.
it was very difficult to see what was underneath the jungle before we got the clearing permit. The clearing permit revealed.
So you definitely had to just clear it with what? A backhoe, bulldozer, whatever, right?
Front end loader to pick it up. And
Front loader?
Yeah, so there was a lot of, we had an excavator there all the
There
time.
was, of course,
There-
there's vines and everything just all over the place, right?
There
It's a
was
jungle.
tires that had been put in shipping containers to export that were bundled up, and the shipping containers had gone rotten and the tires had started to fall out. Then there were tires that were wired up into bundles, and we picked up the bundles and they all fell to bits. So we had to sort them all out and get all the tires into one place.
Got it. So now we have this.
Yes.
The tires over there.
Guys
Yeah,
over
it
there and
is right
everything
now.
else together,
Yeah.
except the big piece, what we could separate out of scrap steel, we separated out the scrap steel.
There were old junk, large equipment. There's old cranes, there's old excavators, there's old trucks and chassis.
But those were part of,
Some of that is
Trans Steel.
Yeah.
some of that was
None
on
of
the
that
trans,
was-
no, there was a lot of other stuff though that was not in the trans steel area. So there was the Bali steel area and the trans steel area. There's a lot of stuff in the Bali steel area. So there's
Bali Steel, and there's another company that was there before.
oh, it's a tough business, you know, that scrap business. It's very easy for people to get into difficulty because it costs a lot more to handle it than you think.
And I think we confirmed that, Pearson kind of went further, I think. I think he encroached more further into the land.
The Pearson material
And
significantly exceeded.
exceeded the one
Pearson.
half, yeah, the 1/2
So
acre.
one of the first things we did was got talk to Pearson to find out what stuff with his, and we piled all his stuff into his area for a start, because I didn't want to get into an argument.
Right,
It's
because,
all old machinery. Well, is the old machinery scrap or is it machinery that he wanted to save?
yeah, because he makes his money off of scrap. He doesn't want to be shortchanged with the scrap. That's
Yeah.
even if it went over the 1/2 acre, it's his.
So we were quite careful to make sure that we didn't have an argument with Pearson about which scrap was his,
I
because we
see.
didn't want to be accused of stealing his scrap. But there was a lot of scrap that was stuff that had been left by Bali Steel that wasn't his, and so we had no idea whose scrap was whose. We just trusted what John.
Because
Pearson
it's just
said.
there, you can't tell who's what. Pearson has to come and say, that's mine and that's mine.
Yeah, and the other piece about it, of course, with the history, John Pearson was also an employee of Bali Steel. So he was involved in the Bali Steel days. So his name used to be John Cho.
Oh, I
And so
see.
he'd kind of been around the thing for a long time.
Oh,
And as an employee, you know, the business obviously didn't go well.
I see.
So he sort of knew a bit about the history of the place. Yeah, so John Pearson, you know, that scrap business, that's a tough business, you know, that you got to have some sympathy for, to be honest.
Yeah.
Sympathy for us too as well.
Eh?
Sympathy for us too.
Oh, likewise, yeah. Hey, it's a mess that people that were at the GLC that were being the landlords were probably being a bit kind to the tenants. The tenants were probably in a bit of strife. There was nobody really intended for it to end up in the mess that it did, but it's lots of little things that things go wrong. And you know, where we come from, we're motivated to be a good corporate citizen, so we're motivated to help a bit. So we'll certainly.
And right now we have a chance to do this with no costs,
We
hopefully.
hope that we can get to. Oh no,
Hopefully,
Yeah.
you're not promising, but you're
you know,
hopefully.
the commitment that was made in the lease was that you wouldn't have to tip cash in, but you might have to tip some of the rent in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the best outcome for the GALC is that the increase in rent, it's not unreasonable to expect an increase in rent. The best outcome for you is that the increase in rent covers the cost of cleaning up the mess. So it would be nice if we could say, if I was in a position to say to you, leave the rent the same as it is, and I'll keep paying the rent and I'll clean up the mess. The effective increase in the rent is the cost of the cleanup. That would be a fair outcome, but I'm not in a position to make that commitment, and until I can, I won't.
Understood.
But we would hope that that might be where we could end up.
Yes.
But I may be in a position where I have to say to you, and when I do, I'm going to have to justify it. I might have to say, you got to give me back some of the rent to help pay for the cleanup, because what I signed up to in the lease is that I would look after the cleanup.
Can we get some,
I've got to have good information, because when I'm coming to you with
Understood.
whatever my solution is,
Yes,
my
of course.
solution might be
yes,
that I'm not going to charge you anything. It might be that I want you to pay,
Yeah.
but whatever it is, you've got to be able to analyze what I'm telling you, and I've got to justify to you that I'm being fair about it. And so it doesn't matter whether it's charging you $2 million or it's not charging you a cent. We've still got to make it that everybody understands
Yeah,
what's
so-
going on, that it's transparent.
generally with the confirmed information right now based on what's the similar situations, right? They said it's about $2 million.
If we
Yeah,
if
it's
we
about $2 million.
load it all on a truck and take it over to the
the-
licensed rubbish dump and pay the fee to dump it, it'll cost $2 million.
$2 million, right?
And that's the worst it can be.
And so that, if we decided to do that in the beginning ourselves, that's what it would have been the cost, 2 million.
No, Ron, it would have been about 1.1 or 1.2, and I
1.1,
wrote to you and told you, because remember that the stockpile of rubbish is increased, because we picked all the rubbish up off the mats and so to put it on top of the pile. So that you've got information and survey information that shows you after we cut the trees down and we measured the quantity of material. So if you look at the photographs on the scrap, the very first photograph in that sequence, it was a whole lot of little piles, and we measured all of the little piles.
Right.
Then we put it into one big pile. Then Black and Madsen were trying to develop next door, so we allowed their scrap to go on top of the pile, and that made the pile even bigger. So before we started, it was
So what was the reference you were making to 2.2 million?
the $2 million is enough to get rid of all of the rubbish, including the rubbish that came from the Matson side.
I see. But what was this other example you gave? Something that just recently?
Up in Didi.
Yes, yeah, what was that?
There was a site up in Didido that I understand recently they cleaned up the rubbish. I'm not sure what the project was, but
Joey?
So if you read the documents, that part of the quote, and I apologize for bringing this up, let me unmute myself.
What was it?
Part of the quote, to clean it up, is to purchase the machines. So it's, you gotta look at what the quotation is. They were gonna purchase the machine, not just clean it up, you know what I mean? So you're looking at,
Well, what do you mean a quote? What do you mean a quote?
no, part of that $2 million is so they can, to buy the machines to do the cleanup. Okay,
But the $2 million is.
my estimate for the 20,000 cubic yards that's now there, to pick it up with a front end loader, put it on a truck and drive it around to the new dump site down at, what's the name of the dump?
Lazon?
Yeah.
Lazon?
And pay the dump fee is about $2 million.
the quote that they provided the board was to purchase the machines to do the cleanup. To include fuel, labor, so the sorting machine, that was, if you guys read that.
No,
And
is
if
that
you
part of the agreement, the signed agreement that they were gonna commit to?
No,
Oh.
that was the quote that they gave to the board.
Oh, so it's just a simple, it's a quote. It's not a commitment. We didn't sign a commitment that they're to buy.
But
the
that's,
machine.
that's my point is, the original quote was 500,000. So just, I really appreciate that they're trying to clean up the property. But if you look at the pictures too, a lot of this junk, and I can share the satellite photos, a lot of the junk or the scrap or everything is just stockpiled. So it includes what they had to grade to level out the property on the areas where they needed to do their concrete footing. So it's a mix of, it's a combination of what was left behind. And I hate to say this, but we didn't fully inspect the property before and, during. They have pictures, but it's not the whole, it's not actually walking around and doing a measurement. You're just basing it on drone pictures. And the drone can't tell you how much that is dirt and stuff like that.
But what's the problem now? What is the problem?
My
What is it? Yeah.
problem is the
Oh, you have a
amount
problem.
of
Yeah, okay.
the quote that we're given, it's just, the $2 million, this is our funding. So if we agree to this, the agency is not gonna have any funding at all.
Oh,
Have you got a quote from somebody?
Operations.
Right.
Have you got a quote from somebody to do it?
Where did we get that $500,000 quote from?
From them.
You guys gave us a 500,
We
wait, I
we
don't recall them
we
giving,
gave you an estimate.
then it was an
That was an
estimate.
estimate.
We gave you some, we said, when.
We asked Gita to give us, to get us an estimate too, or something. We went out to try to get an estimate of it. But did we actually get a qualified estimate from somebody?
What we gave you, and you'll find it in the letters that we wrote to you back in the period February, March, April of 2025, this was our estimate to deal with it. And at that time, we were saying we could entomb it and we could bury it. And if you don't, you're going to have to cart it away and it's going to cost this much. And so then we said, we don't want to entomb it. Whilst it was a cost saving, that wasn't a preferred solution. We weren't in a position, either time-wise or budget-wise, to cart it all away, because it was our guess it was going to be $2 million. So we didn't say we'll cart it away for you for that. Said at that point in time, it was about 1.2 million, because it was a smaller quantity, because it didn't have the material for mats. And so then it was agreed that the commitment in the lease is that you're not tipping any cash in. We've only got the rent, so we've only got 120 grand per year to spend. That just wasn't enough.
The stockpile there right now, Mount Trashmore. Okay,
Sorry?
what,
I call it Mount Trashmore when I was taking it.
so the amount of, what is it, cubic yards, cubic feet? What's the size of what we have right now, right there?
It hasn't been.
You got an
surveyed.
estimate on it, right?
But the last survey, and it's in one of those sheets, you'll find it says that it's 20,000 yards.
So to truck that away at about $100 per cubic yard.
That's where you get your estimate for,
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
be.
but that includes to load it,
That's the lower, yeah,
clean up after yourself, and to pay the dump fees over at the dump.
Right.
right.
A big certificate.
And that's including good soil and stuff like that. So this option you're giving is you're going to screen it.
Yeah.
So that hopefully to get that amount of cubic
They-
yards. or
if you
cubic
guys
whatever
were
amount, a certain
listening,
amount,
If
And
you
then-
were given listening,
and then
apparently you guys weren't listening.
The vice chair is trying to speak.
I'm
You
sorry,
guys weren't
Vice Chair?
listening. They have a
Vice Chair?
solution. They presented a solution.
Vice Chair.
Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah, okay, yeah, go ahead. You're
Yeah,
looking-
they presented a solution. And they're asking to move forward. And their solution was to have to bring in Pearson into their company to do the scrapping and the cleaning up with that, because he's the expert in that. And at the end of all of this, it would all be fair game if we allow them to move with the actions required on the bottom there. Am I correct? Then that it would be to extend the notice period in carrying out over 6 months and to amend the lease for the 10 acres and listed on down there. Am I correct there, Mr. Bell?
Mr. Smith?
Oh, sorry about that. The speaker was there. There. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That
Well,
was, sorry.
that addresses the scrap. on the
Yeah,
side of,
but they
of
cut it down.
The mound,
I know, but
yeah.
but listen, they estimated, they gave an estimate of 500,000, right? But it appears to be 2 million. It was gonna do it the hard way. So they figured out how to cut costs and to work it into their developing company. And, they're not into the scrap filing and collection and all of that, but they're willing to work with Pearson to clean that thing up and work with them so that they can make it suitable and functional for them all together to work and get this thing done. And it's not going to cost us anything. Is that correct, Mr. Bell? Probably, assumably.
That's all right.
Yeah, yeah.
But what-
And then just extend the lease, which they're requesting,
So
and collect back rent and all of that, and we will move forward.
what we've
That's
said-
basically how I saw it.
And what we're saying is that the worst thing that can happen is that a decision is made to take it to the rubbish dump and we're going to spend $2 million. We're
That's
not
right.
to do that because we think we can do way better than that because we
There.
can sort it and cost a lot less.
That's what I understood
Actually
through the
made a firm
presentation.
proposal to you yet, because we're not going to make a firm proposal until we do some trials. So right at the very start, we said, if you cart it away, this is the worst case, but let's try and do better. So we've filed it all up. We've got to where we are without having to charge any money.
Mhm.
And so then we're hopeful, but we want to be able to show you what we're doing. We're hopeful that we're going to be able to get the cost down to the minimum by sorting it. But
Right.
you got to understand how big a problem we're trying to solve. The size of the problem is $2 million because tomorrow we could write out a check for $2 million and ring somebody up and get them carted away. We don't want to do that. But when you're solving a problem, you want to know how big the problem is. It's like the,
Right.
I was talking earlier about the oil problem.
Right.
Me and you and Gita all thought the oil problem was a much bigger problem than it really was. So we were expecting to spend more than $10,000 on the report to tell us what to do with it. And in the end, we dealt with it for lower cost. So now, well, we hope we got to the same answer with Mount Trashmore, but we're not there yet.
So presumably, Mount Trashmore is kind of somewhat oil free.
No, there's no problem with it. We
I
believe
mean,
it.
since you've already taken out the.
No, we
prior
believe
to you-
there's no oil in it. Every piece of, except for the very bottom 2 meters, every piece of rubbish that's in that pile, we've picked it up and moved it because we put it up on the thing. So we know that it's not got liquids in it.
So you know what?
We know that it's not got oil. It's not got
All
liquid
right, okay,
because we moved it all.
got it.
So there could be a little bit of oil in a vehicle or something down in the very
Well, I'm
bottom.
just talking about the kind of oil that we're talking about, that, that big oil spill because of those tanks that were in there.
Any
It's all been dealt
known
with.
barrels have been removed.
Yeah, been removed. So anything else dealing with other, because I remember that I think some hazardous material that I think was allowed families to bring down, right? Or some oil or some chemicals and take it down there. Remember there was a program or something that went down there. Yeah, used oil and yeah.
Yeah, we don't, it's our understanding that there's no more oil left to deal with. But when we work our way through, we might get a surprise, but if we do, it'll be a relatively small volume.
I like the the sifting part of working with it to reduce the the
Well-
mass that's down there.
So what is the request? The lease, for an extended lease and how many acres?
Okay, wait,
This presentation's done.
yeah,
So the last page of the
okay,
presentation.
go to the last page and then we'll continue with
Yeah.
Vice Chair's question and then.
That's
You-
what it
one more?
said, yeah. It says,
Yeah,
thank
your
you,
last page.
introduce Marcy.
Which is the actions. Yeah.
The actions required, yeah.
First action we were looking for, and we proposed a lease amendment back last year in about April or May. And what we wanted to do was possible was to get it that the notice period during the carryover period of the lease is 6 months. And the reason for that is that the stuff that we've now got on this site, if you gave us notice to leave, it would, if we really had to, we could get out of it in 3 months, but it would be impossible to completely clear the site in a month.
No. Yeah,
And so if the lease ends in August 2027, you could say, well, if you've got to give us 6 months notice, you want the right to give us that 6 months notice from March 2027. So
Mhm.
we're still out by that time. And we could live with that if for some reason you wanted to turf us out on that day. But we just be realistic with ourselves. Look at what the pictures show that we've got there. We'd be kidding ourselves if we thought we could get out of there in a month.
that's right.
Okay,
So
that's
what
one.
we'd like to do is to get an amendment to the lease that says that during the carryover period, so when the lease ends, we go into the carryover period and we're there month by month. I have no problem with month by month, but I would like to have it that either we have to give you 6 months notice or you give us 6 months notice. So that was point number 1. Point number 2 was to amend the lease area. That was lease amendment number 2. And so the original lease had 5 unusable acres and we were going to reduce it to 3 unusable acres. We agreed on that arrangement in May last year. from the 1st of October, we've been paying for the increased area. There's a lump of back rent for the period from about April or May through till October of the increased area that's not being paid. And the reason I didn't pay it, because I wanted to give you a reason to sign the document. I thought if you sign it, I'll write the check.
Okay.
I didn't want to build up a big bill of unpaid rents. I've had a big bill, I might not have any money, I might be painful to pay it. So
Yeah.
from October, I started paying at the higher rate.
Can we move that? Get that done? On that, for that last part? That's the one that's dealing with the,
Yeah, so there's.
they're
a reason-
already, they're
there's a
already
reason
paying us, then they,
not ready to be
they're,
signed.
they're paying 2 acres more,
Yeah.
right? They're paying 2 acres more already because they cleaned up that part.
Yeah, that's covered in section 4.01. We don't need no amendment to that.
No,
This is covered in section 4.01 and automatically, once it's clean and usable, then we automatically charge them 1,100 or whatever acre. that
okay,
they cleaned
so
up.
do-
So they started paying October 2025.
okay,
We agreed to start paying earlier than that.
yeah,
It was done by about April, and we've agreed on the date.
yeah,
And you're quite right. I thought that you would want a lease amendment to document it. But if you say it can be documented just by an instruction from you guys, that's fine with us.
yeah. So we're thought maybe it should be some kind of record that, okay, it went from, there's 2 more acres now that's added, or just, we don't need to put
No,
something.
this is covered in section 4.01 of the lease agreement, that once it's cleaned up, they will automatically be charged 1,100 per acre.
Okay, so no stipulation that it was cleaned up? Isn't there somewhere that we need to put it there? No? Okay, we got 2 more, you just, it's just,
Yeah,
really?
on the, we don't need a first amendment, can't we, spoke about that,
Yeah.
the modification?
Yeah, but I believe, we're still gonna have to make a notation.
Yeah, some,
that
I
the
just, that's what
board-
we were thinking, just some
board
note
Is aware
that,
the 2 acres have been cleared and is now able to.
because there was a, yeah,
Yeah.
it was less than, there was more than, right now it's, once they start paying, right now it's less on the acreage that was, that
Unused.
unused. It's less now. So
so-
we need to know that now there's,
We already started paying. We've been paying for the increased acreage.
yeah, but there's no,
There to.
Yeah, and but we agreed with you, we agreed with Diego when the extra area kicked in. And so it took from that time, and we said, well, we'd backdate it. So once we agreed, from the 1st of October, we just got invoiced and we paid it, but we still owe you a period from about April till October at the increased rate, because we agreed on an earlier date.
Yeah.
And so I don't mind whether it's documented, how you document it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think what we should do
Yeah.
is we should just do an amendment, Tony, we'll just do an amendment identifying the land area that we went from 5 acres of unused property, right? To 3, and now. it's
now we're
all-
receiving this amount. What is
Yeah.
that?
And I guess we'll-
I agree with Tony, it's probably unnecessary, but we've got it.
Oh, it was an amendment and it's already added though.
No, it needs to be added, it needs to be that. This is a proposed First Amendment.
Oh,
And the First Amendment is basically doing what we said. We want it documented that we're going from 5 acres of unused property to now 3 acres of unused property, and then the 2 will now be charged.
yes, can we
Yeah,
move
so
in it?
this is-
Maybe we can move in it now.
We can. and
Yeah,
we
let's
can-
move in it now.
We can.
Get it done.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, he did, yes, he did. Legal counsel reviewed all 3 of these.
Any other comments from the other?
No.
Is there a motion?
Well, this is just acknowledging we're receiving
Yeah, we did.
2 more.
Okay. Oh, yeah, we can't move because we haven't gotten our legal on this.
No, we can.
Okay,
move.
but put it this way. This is better than the racetrack deal. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Louis.
Yeah.
Louis.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner, Westling?
Hi, thank you. This is Commissioner Westling, and I'm sorry. Somebody just asked a question that I could not hear from one of the commissioners. and Kathy said, yes, he's reviewed it. And so I wanted to know what is the question? What was the question?
So that was me,
Okay.
Mr. Camacho.
I asked if legal counsel reviewed the First Amendment, and I remember she did say in the beginning of the meeting that he has reviewed them, correct?
Yes, all three.
Okay, okay. And Kathy, if I may ask, does legal counsel state that this would be okay to sign, that an amendment is required? Even though our lease agreement states at the time that it was signed, what the available acreage was and what the base rent would be, that now that more land has become available, that we do need to make an amendment to it?
He didn't say that we shouldn't, but if you'd like, I can go ahead and email him for clarification. If we still need it.
I just think this is acknowledging that according to our lease that, that 2 acres was cleaned up and we're just receiving the
Yeah.
payment for 2 acres more. It's part of the lease agreement.
Yes. And
It's not an amendment, we're just acknowledging we're receiving now because it's in there, the cleanup.
2 acres.
Yeah, we're just receiving
I agree with you.
yeah, it's part of the
Yes.
agreement, so we're just putting a notice that now there's 2 more acres that are cleaned up and we're receiving now,
I agree.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree exactly what Tony's saying. There's no
But-
need to do a lease amendment, but it was my view that a lease amendment was just a nice, simple document to record it. You've got to record it somehow. And so amendment number 1, 2, and 3, whatever we do, it gets everything in a simple
Yeah.
way. So why not use a lease amendment? But if there's some reason you'd like to have some other form of documentation,
Yeah,
we
I don't
don't,
think
we
it's a
don't
lease, I
care.
don't think it's a lease amendment though, but if it is, then I would have to agree with Commissioner
Well,
Wesley. Get our legal
I-
counsel to,
Okay, I know what we're trying to achieve, and I understand that, but these written documents does say amendment, okay? In spite of you saying it's not an amendment, it says an
no, I'm
amendment.
not,
so
we're not referring to that document now anymore. What we're referring to is, the director is saying, let's put a notice that we, some kind of a notice that now we're receiving 2 acres more. That amendment is out of the picture. So I don't know how that's gonna be done, either through us here in GALC or through GITA. But if it is an amendment and then we're back to that, then yes, okay, I would agree.
Given that the document's already been prepared and it's been reviewed, why don't we just sign it and let it be? You got to record it somehow. It's probably not necessary.
Yeah, I have
There's
no problem.
having too much documentation. It's better to have too much than not enough, surely.
So how many more months are you gonna add once that thing is signed? 6 months? It's 6 months and over?
Yeah, he's
Sorry?
requesting 6 months.
6 months in back rent?
The one he addressed here.
No, that's from about April. It's about April till October, but it's the same amount of back rent. I don't care how you documented it. I agreed with Diego when the rent when it would start paying. So there's a gap between when we started paying and when Pearson stopped paying for that area. And there's the back rent for the increased area. Whether you document it by an amendment or you document it by a notice, it's the same amount of money. I can't remember what the exact amount of money is, Rob, but there's an amount of money for the difference. The records will easily show
Right,
it's the same money no matter what document you use.
okay,
We just go with it.
okay.
And
Okay, so where are we at? Well,
yes. Well, if I may say,
okay,
Kathy did say that she could, just ask legal counsel. And so I would like personally, if she could, if it's something that she can just check with him and that we could just hear from him as to what would be the best way to, what vehicle of documentation would be the best way to facilitate this.
okay, Commissioner Camacho?
So it isn't, just a simple amendment to increase, I don't know. I guess it is. So this additional F
I just don't see why it should be
12-2 and
amendments. though,
F
you know?
12-3.
I
We're
don't see,
talking about the Pearson property?
No, this one is the modification of base rent,
because they cleaned up.
because they cleaned up the
Not-
5
Oh,
acres.
yeah.
There,
We're not-
there are three, yeah, there are 3 amendments.
Okay.
Yeah, the first one,
And
he's
it's
talking
two-
about
two-
was
Well,
the base.
it's
Because,
later.
Two
because in the
amendments in the
original
license agreement.
lease, I only see,
The first and second and one original lease.
I'll tell you
F
another good
12
reason, I'll tell you another
Yeah.
good reason to sign lease amendment number one.
And second.
If you don't, we'll have to reprint lease amendment number two, because it won't be number two anymore, and then it'll be number one.
No, so the one that he's referring to, the one that we were talking or discussing was whether or not an amendment had to be made to the lease agreement to identify the new total amount of acreage being charged. Because before we had 5 acres of unused, now we have 3. We're now having to add the 2 to the 10, right?
Yep, oh, 2 to the
To
8,
the 8.
to make 10.
To make 10 for him to be paying a month. Because right now, in the lease agreement, he's only paying for 8 acres of land, 5 acres are unused.
The lease agreement says as he cleans up more acreage, then you'll start paying more. So basically, he cleaned
Yeah.
up 2 acres. Hey, I'm now gonna increase the rent to 10 acres, then 8 acres.
Yeah, so then,
Okay, Guido wants to cite the lease agreement.
On section 403, base rent payment. Landlord and tenant agree that at the time this lease is executed, approximately 5 acres of the 13 are unusable due to potential contamination. Base rent payment as specified in section 4.01 shall be based upon usable acreage.
mhm,
As each acre of potentially contaminated area that is contiguous to and abuts usable property becomes usable, the tenant shall pay rent as specified in section 4.01. 11 So this automatically.
So it's already
Yes,
in there.
Stipulates
Yeah.
that once it's clean and usable, it
Yeah.
automatically just make a payment.
Right, so I don't see why an amendment is needed in there.
Correct.
Basically,
That's
just a
what we-
notice that, okay, they've cleaned up 2 acres and they're adding it now to the total
It's
amount.
automatic, yeah.
It's automatic.
Yeah, no need for an amendment. That's the way I.
So I was just thinking some kind of a notice for us on your part or us, just to notice that, hey, okay, now they've cleaned up 2 acres. It's now 10 acres instead of 8.
Okay, there
We
is
gave you a
notice
notice
here.
in a letter
Yeah.
at the time.
Hmm.
There's emails and letters in the file where we gave you the notice.
Yeah, so based on the leases,
There's an update status report here dated.
yeah,
Mr. Alderson,
based on the update
on
status,
August
the
21st
notice
of
of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can reference that.
Okay, we have a okay.
Stipulations that they've cleaned up 2 acres, and then
Sure.
you can reference that and it's increased now to 10 acres.
Sure, I have the status report with me here.
yes, now they're using
somewhere,
10.
Yeah.
To 10, and that's the use total.
Would that be okay with you, Commissioner Wissing? What do you think? They gave us notice.
Okay, so notice was already given, so
Yeah, they
effective
gave us
that
notice,
notice.
yeah, and Gita has the notice. They presented the notice to us back in August.
Okay,
That-
now, Mr. Smith mentioned that there's some back rent that's owed. Since that it became available in April or something. I seem to recall that in the conversation.
There's no
Yes.
problem.
Yeah, we'll be happy to write the check from April until October. I think we said that became usable in April, is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's correct, yeah.
yeah, that's what I brought up before.
Fine.
the-
Yeah,
just
there's no
to-
problem. We're happy.
no, we
As
weren't,
soon as we confirm the agreement, we owe you the back rent.
Oh, yeah,
We owe
I
you
brought,
back- We owe you back rent from
Oh.
April through till.
I guess you
first of
misunderstood me. I did bring that up a few minutes ago and you said, oh, no, no.
No,
So
no
that's what I was
problem. Of
talking.
course we'll pay.
Oh, yeah, yes, Commissioner Whistling, you're right.
I don't think, there's no dispute about what we have paid and we haven't paid.
Yes,
And we agree that we
Yes,
have
we
not
understand that.
paid for the
We
two
know that,
No, no,
acres
yeah.
no.
for April,
Right.
May, June,
Yes.
July, August and September.
yes, you
So
did it
we
all in
owe
good
you-
faith,
So we
yes.
owe you 6 months times 2 acres times
That's
11.
Yeah, they owe us 6 months times
Yes,
2 acres.
yeah.
No problem, we agree.
No problem.
Yeah,
Then
and
we
they're
received
prepared to write the check.
First payment October 2025.
Okay,
Correct. Was the increased payment from October.
Yes,
And the reason we didn't pay, because we wanted to get a document, we wanted to get you to
Got it,
sign
got
something.
it.
No, I
Got
think
it.
what it is too, what is, didn't have a board meeting to.
yeah, we were like,
Right.
yeah, we couldn't meet,
That
yeah.
was the issue, yeah.
Yeah, and we were, because. I
Oh,
believe
we'll send you a check on Monday.
Vice Chair,
Yeah, just to clear the record, I addressed him as Mr. Bell. Mr. Alan Bell is your general manager. I apologize for that, Mr. Smith.
Mr.
And
Bell,
Kat, just
yeah,
to, yeah,
this is
Kathy,
Mr. Shawman.
okay, Mr. Showman, yeah, I'm looking at the, yeah, thank you. But anyways, Kat, just read what our attorney cited earlier. Read it again. I know, but to clarify, what his point was.
are you asking her to read it again?
Yeah, it was just a short statement. One sentence.
Talking about our legal counsel's message or no?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Okay. All I need from the commissioners, assuming they want to do a lease with Smith Bridge, is for the vote to set forth the terms of the lease. Example, I move that the GLC enter into a lease with Smith Bridge for lot so-and-so for a term of number of years at an annual rent of an amount. Any other special or unique terms that the deal may require. With the essential information from the resolution, I can put a lease together quickly.
Okay.
Okay, that was it?
Yes,
That was it.
yes, sir. Different matter.
I'm sorry, but we're not talking about entering into a lease. We're talking about the change in the base rent,
Might be referring to.
correct? I mean, well, at this moment, right now, we're just discussing the correct vehicle for the addition in the monthly rents because of the recent availability of usable land being added to the lease. So I'm not quite sure how that
Okay,
addresses what we're talking about.
Gita's saying that they're gonna go ahead and give us the in writing based upon the notice from Smith Bridge last August
7:55.
that the rental has increased. So basically, we're just,
Okay,
yeah, so they're gonna give us that notice.
Are we giving you a notice or you giving us?
He's gonna give us the notice that you gave us
He
last
is gonna
August.
give you a notice.
That you gave us, yeah, they're our property managers.
All I'm
just
doing is
write
Yeah,
this
letting
out.
you
they
know.
gave us the notice, yeah,
Okay.
so, and as soon as he gives us that notice, you can write us the check on Monday.
And do.
6 months back,
And do.
right?
Yeah. Okay, right, that'll work, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question regarding the 12-month notice for the that you needed in order.
Holding over.
No, there's a
period.
12-month you were saying.
No,
There's-
there's two separate.
Oh, it's two separate.
second
The one I
notice-
read was
second one
12.
is-
See, it
is
says here
the
party
second
12-month
amendment.
notification.
No, the 12-month notification, Ron, what it says in the lease is that we've got the right to negotiate. And the way I read it, it's the right to negotiate the long-term lease. The right to negotiate means that you can't give it to anybody else unless we can't.
Oh, okay, I stand
If you,
correct.
if you ask such a high price that we say no thanks,
I
we
understand.
go,
Okay, I'm sorry, I
you-
stand correct. I
you
stand
can't
corrected.
give the property to somebody else until such time as
Okay,
we
that's-
negotiate.
Okay, that's a different matter. Okay, that's I'm sorry.
Sorry? It's effectively a right at first right
Yeah,
of
okay,
refusal.
so I'm
That's-
sorry, what I meant, and I stand corrected. Thank you, Commissioner Camacho. I'm talking about then it is the 6 months, right?
Yeah, so
Would that stretch into our 5 month, over our 5 month? Would
Say
that,
it again.
I mean, 5 year, I'm sorry.
No,
over-
so what happens now
Yeah,
we've got the property until the 21st, to the end of August 2027, 5 years after the start. From
right.
that date onwards, we're in the carryover period. During the carryover period, we can give you a month's notice at any time, and you can give us a month's notice at any time. So what I'm saying to you, please, I would like you to agree that the notice period is extended. If I decide I'm going to leave, I'll give you much more notice. I'm happy that I've got to give you 6 months notice if I'm going to leave, but I'd like you to be prepared to give me 6 months notice, because as we can see, it would be very difficult for me. If you wanted to be difficult with me, you could give me 1 month's notice. And when I can't take my batching plant away within 1 month, you say, thanks very much. That's a very nice batching plant. I'll keep it.
Yeah, yeah, understand.
And so I don't want to get us into that situation. We'll be down there working 24 hours a day, pulling our batching plant out, because if we don't get it out within the month's notice, it becomes yours.
Allow you time to,
Yeah.
take care of
And-
your business.
And so the trade-off for that is, I say, I'm in the same position. If I decide I want to leave, it would be unfair to give you 1 month's notice. But if I decide I'm going to leave and I give you 6 months notice, you've got time to advertise it and find another tenant. So I think it's in both of our interests to
Right.
increase the notice period from 1 month to 6 months. I hope that it becomes irrelevant, because it's my hope that before the 5 years is up, we've signed up a lease for 15 years or 30 years or something.
So the new laws allow us to do that, right? The new laws allows us to go ahead and
Not
do this.
yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. It's my understanding of the law.
The new laws.
You know, there's 2 separate laws that apply. So there was one law to allow you to do new leases for 15 years. And there was another law to allow you to extend leases of tenants in good standing. So they were, yeah. Yeah, so the one for tenants in good standing, I think, is still at committee. Is the extension of leases one. And the one to allow you to do new leases of 15 years was vetoed by the governor. So it was passed, it was vetoed by the governor. And then the sponsoring senator has to decide if he wants to put it back up, and he has to get 2/3. So that one is not relevant to us anyway, because the only one that's relevant to us is still at the committee. But that doesn't change the action that we all need to take, because I want you to lease to me for 15 years, so we need to negotiate and agree on the terms. When us and you agree on the terms, then you have to go to the legislature and ask for their permission to do the lease to you. So the next step is that I've notified you. My lease said that I had to notify you at a minimum of 12 months before the end of the lease. So I already notified you that I want to negotiate. Then I wrote to you and I said, this is how much I think I should pay. So you've got to decide how much you want me to pay. I've got to decide if I'm prepared to pay that amount. When we agree, then you go to the legislature, and it's my understanding that the legislature has got 2 months to approve or disapprove your request to lease. So step one, no matter what.
Yeah.
In April last year, I made you an offer and said, please rent to me, this is what I'll pay. Now, the position that you're in, you're not in a good position to respond, because you're waiting for me to commit to you about what I'm doing about the rubbish. So
Yeah.
we're not actually in a position yet to finalise that lease, because until I tell you how much it's going to cost, because I haven't told you yet, I've told you what I'm doing, and I've told you what I hope I'm going to say. So we're getting ourselves ready for that negotiation, but we're not quite ready yet. So I've given you an indication of what I think is a fair rent to pay.
What Mr. Smith is saying about the law, is that correct? Even with the 15 years, we have to go back to the legislature?
We need clarification.
No, from what I understand is no.
Chairman, if I may,
Go ahead.
it brought up public law 38-1. That's where, establishes that the new 15-year, that's for leases. However, that's for new tenants. For existing tenants, that when it needs approval from the government, which is what we say.
Also, that's
For an
only for,
existing tenant,
new
that's
tenants.
not the new law. So at the moment, you need government approval to do any lease to extend any lease more than 5 years. You need legislative approval.
so that's just for new leases or for new contracts, new,
So the 15-year max for leases is a new lease. But the only way it could, pertain to, Mr. Smith is after, it has to be approved. So they could do it, but it has to be approved.
I see. So that's hence our letter from our legal counsel saying if the board wants to move with it, he'll draft up the lease and then
Yeah.
that apparently that will go to the
Now, sta-
legislature. Okay, okay.
Stage one, we
Got it.
need to negotiate. When we negotiate, then we write a draft lease. Once you've got a draft lease that you and us have agreed, you take that draft lease to the legislature and say, can we please sign this lease, and they will approve it or not. But we can't finalize the lease until we agree. And I've said to you, and you're waiting for me because I'm going to do some trials with cleaning up the rubbish and we're going to work out what it's going to cost. And I'm not going to commit to clean it up without any charge or any extra charge until I've done some trials to prove that it works.
Okay, understood. Can we, Director?
What I can do is I think I will go ahead and because the way I'm interpreting,
The law is a little bit different. I think, to be on the safe side, I'm gonna send it to our legal counsel and ask him if he can make the determination on whether or not the board can approve a 15-year lease without having to go to the legislature.
Well, it's kind of like he gave us instructions right there and you just read it.
Yeah.
Apparently he's of that opinion and then he's gonna draft up a lease and apparently, if we do agree,
But that,
he says it right there that then he's gonna draft it up and
Yeah.
then have us approve it.
the other law that you might want to look at, if you have a look up, law 3395 from 2015.
I'm sorry.
If you have a look, if you look up that one up, it's 3395 from 2015. And that talks about the process for these leases. And so I think that until the new law that's not yet passed gets passed, I think 3395 is what governs what you're allowed to do.
So
Don't
what's
worry,
our,
I've read a lot.
so what's our legal?
very interested in it
So-
because I've got that same problem with lot 716.
Well, it-
yeah, but 3395 is much more land trust law.
Yeah,
And it's my understanding that there's another similar law that applies to you guys. But I haven't found it.
our legal counsel is telling us here. He's telling us there
Quickly.
that,
And whatever it is, there's no point until we agree.
yeah, but that's what he's saying. Yeah, he's saying we can't move with it and, but yet we're gonna ask him for an opinion on whether we can move, but he's
And
telling us there we can move with it.
Yeah, and so
Can we address the first one though? Let's get that 6 months. Was that the 6 months you were asking for the notice?
I want
We
the
have
notice.
to give you notice and you can, right?
Yeah, so I have to give you 6 months notice and you have to give me 6 months.
Yes, can we address that now? At least let's address that immediately and get that done. Okay, let's address that now. How, does that need to be with a motion or?
The motion.
Okay. So do we have any more questions from the board regarding that? Otherwise, we can move with it. I'm fine with it. I'm good with it.
6-month notice.
6 months notice. Okay, if there's no further discussions in it, we can get a motion on the floor.
We'll move, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we have a motion by our vice chair to approve that request.
6 months.
Do we have a second? Okay, seconded by Commissioner Camacho. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No nays. Director pass, motion passes.
Should pass.
Okay, now we can continue. And I know we're running out of time. What's the time right now? We're still good?
446.
4:46, okay. Where are we at? We're what,
We're gonna move up.
Last topic is to approve the license agreement for the half acre.
okay. And so basically it's a month-to-month agreement?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody's familiar with this? I think we got this a while back. Any questions? And the amount is there, right?
Yeah.
Down to the 6th bullet point, is that what we're doing?
6 bullet point, are we down there in the 6? I think we're still on,
So
we
this
at?
is
We're
at
still
the
in number
same
three?
rate as the
We
Smith
finished
Bridge
C
lease.
Yeah, we finished
The rate
C.
that Pearson was paying was a little bit less, but we just made it the same rate as ours.
Yeah, so, now we're on 3A.
Yeah, back to 3A.
3A.
Yeah,
So we took care of 3B. We
It-
just took care of 3B.
right. And then the presentation, you were done with your presentation, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so
you're
done
on
with this
3A.
presentation on C, now we're in 3A.
Mhm.
The license of the former Trans Steel, yeah, half acre, 0.5
And
acres.
going back to Mr. Smith's actions required, is that item 6 on your request?
Yes.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, approved signature of license to Smithbridge, Guam Inc. for Trans Steel area. But with 1 month's notice.
That's,
Yes.
Well, that's a bit of a typo. Book next, supposed to say back rent. She didn't type that very well. The one above it says approve the license. Books next will be paid. That means back rent will be paid.
Really?
On the last page of my presentation.
Says you rented space since October, and then the next one says, oh, book next.
Books next actually means back rent. She's not very good. My writing must have been very bad.
Oh,
Okay. So the next, item is the license agreement.
what is the term of this?
just month to month.
2 months.
One, it's year to year, right? Month to month, though, year to year, I think. I think our licenses are more like 1 year, then we have to
The
readdress it.
license is a minimum of 1 year and thereafter month by month.
Original,
Mhm.
The-
requesting
the-
1 year with the standard month to month.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
And we're fine with that.
May I, Mr. Chairman? The licenses that shall be for a period of 1 year with 2 options to renew for each 1-year period. So this license.
And the
will be
reason why we
1
wrote
year.
that in is that we wanted to make it that it ended on the same date as the 5-year lease, approximately.
I
It's,
see,
it's,
but
it's logical. It doesn't matter whether we are the long-term tenant
comes
or
up.
someone else is the long-term
Thing
tenant.
about that.
The logical thing is that the license and our lease end on the same date.
Does it eliminate that need? Yeah.
What you can do, you can make it 1 year with a 1-year option to renew, with an option to renew for 1 year, like on a month to month.
But I think his point is he's trying to match it with his existing lease so that it's intact.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense, yeah.
So going back, it's 1 year with 2 options to renew
Because
for a 1-year period.
it started back in May when the Pearson thing ended. So when the Pearson thing ended,
Right.
we paid the Pearson back rent and then we started paying the rent for that area from the date that the Pearson one ended.
Yeah, I understand.
So that the
So you have 3 years left. Is what.
2.5 now.
After he stopped paying his rent, you started paying the rent?
We've been paying the rent on the basis that the license was approved already.
So Smithbridge was paying the rent ever since,
For transfer.
for Trans Steel? I mean, was it Trans?
It's my understanding that we've been paying the rent for the Pearson area. But if we haven't paid it because it's an error, there's no problem. We owe it.
We're waiting for license agreement to be approved.
Yeah, so you haven't been paying.
Okay, well, no problem. We're happy to pay. So
Yeah.
it starts from the day that his rent stopped,
That was.
which I think it was the 30th of May.
Also,
Might have been the 30th of April.
so,
Yeah, it came before the board, that if the board shall approve Smithbridge requests for their license agreement for the old Trans Steel location, Smithbridge agreed that they would back pay to the time that they brought it up to the board.
I see,
They
okay.
brought it up to the board for the
Oh,
consideration.
I see, yeah.
So that's what they said.
see,
So
I see.
if we approve the license agreement today, if the board approves the license agreement today, Mr. Smith is willing to back pay the
From that
portion
time.
for
We,
Trans
we
Steel.
agreed that with the AO
Yes.
last year when we
Yes.
were doing it.
Yeah.
Sorry?
6 months, the.
I think it starts, I think it's the 1st of May, or it might be the
June
1st of
1st.
June. Yeah,
It was-
yeah,
it was
because,
agreed.
because the
Yeah,
rent
it
from
says-
Pearson,
Yeah.
we paid the Pearson back rent up until the 30th of May.
Yeah,
We gave Pearson a loan so he could pay his rent.
got it.
Yes.
Figured that. And the
You
amount,
weren't gonna kick him out until he paid his rent. I wanted you to kick him out, so I had to help you to kick him out, so I
So,
paid the rent for him.
is the amount they're asking for the half acre commensurate or with whatever's being paid right now for the other pieces?
It'll be.
Huh?
Sorry, what was?
Well, is it half of whatever would have been done with the normal, the,
Pearson paid you $500 a month and we're paying $550 a month.
right, so
Because we're
it's.
paying on the basis of 1,100 an acre, because that's what we bid for the whole site.
Yeah, that's what I meant, yeah, okay,
Yes, sir.
yeah, got
Yes,
it,
it's only a very tiny increase,
yeah.
but it's the same over the whole lot.
right, got it. Okay, any questions, board members? The license will basically be up to, I guess is the end of his 5 year.
That's right.
2027. Okay,
Yeah.
Wessing? Commissioner Wessing?
Yeah, okay, so just point of clarification because
Yeah.
some things were said earlier.
Turn on the aircon,
Um,
turn off that fan again. Oh, sorry.
okay, sorry. Okay, so it was expressed earlier that asking, is this a month-to-month lease? No, it's not a month-to-month license. It is a license for 1 year and then 2 options for additional years. And with the expiration to coincide with the agreement for the larger piece, correct? Right?
Yeah.
Okay, and
So it's-
No, can I add to that, Commissioner Wessing?
oh, sure, go ahead. I have one
Yeah,
more thing
from what I
afterwards.
understand through Gita, in our past licenses, we had stipulations in there that because it was a license, it's not a lease. Ancestral Lands has the authority to, within a proper notice, I think it was a month's notice or something like that, because it's basically, we did that, when we did licenses, we were basically dealing with companies that was just using it for a laydown yard. They're not building anything or something. And so I think the stipulations in there was, it was, the board had the right to terminate licenses as opposed to lease agreements within a month's notice.
Okay, well,
But
that
Gita
was
gave
my,
us gave us the stipulations on.
okay, well, that wasn't my clarification.
But we did
It
year
was,
to year, we did year to year. but
okay,
We did year to year, but with
no,
stipulations had that 1 month notice.
I don't think it's clear in the license agreement document here, but it was always my understanding, and it was very clear in the Pearson license that either party could give 1 month's notice at any time, and I'm happy for the license to have that added in.
Yeah, so apparently it's in there.
I can't find
1
it.
month
I
notice.
thought it was, but I can't find it.
Yeah, see, it's
Yes,
like,
it is in
yes,
Yeah.
section 4.
yeah, section 4, I think you could see it in there.
Of the license agreement, the draft license agreement.
30 days,
were
yeah,
trying to-
written notice. Yeah, paragraph 4 has it.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, and then my second question was that, because these license agreements also are recorded, correct? Right?
they are recorded.
Okay,
Yes, they are recorded, yes.
okay, so has releases of the Pearson license already been recorded so that we don't record over, I mean, properly recorded? You know how when a bank's loan gets paid off, a release has to be recorded to release any previous recordings so that you don't have multiple recordings of agreements running, concurrent. I just wanted to declare that if the previous tenant's license agreement was recorded, that have we duly released that from the record so that any new license agreement will become the primary. Just a matter of, cleaning up,
Yeah,
making
go
sure
ahead
that
and
things are clean.
answer your question.
He
Was he
definitely terminated his license.
Yeah.
Yeah, we,
I don't know if he
His
reached to
lease
the
was
termination of
terminated,
land
but
management.
we did not
Land management.
have
Recorded.
recorded a.
Okay. Okay, so so what I'm saying is just to keep the, I guess the title, clean, okay? If we issued the termination, that's one thing. But if the previous license agreement was recorded, then there should be a release or a termination or whatever recorded to nullify that earlier recording. So that any new subsequent license agreement, for instance, if it's with Smith Bridge, they will become the primary licensee, of record. I'm just trying to keep the public record clean.
And there won't be a conflict when they do a search, right, or something?
Yeah, because I've seen many times when, and it just kind of casts a shadow or gray area on titles when releases were never duly recorded.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's all. But that's just to keep things clean
Well,
and clear.
basically, we're gonna mirror, Transsteel's, license, except the amount is different, right? Okay, so we're basically mirroring Transsteel's license?
It's my understanding that that document exactly mirrors the Trans Steel license.
It exactly what?
It's my understanding that this document that we've got exactly mirrors the Trans Steel license.
Yeah, okay. It's basically exactly mirrors the Transsteel document. It's the same. Go ahead, Commissioner. Wilson.
Okay, so I'm sorry, who prepared these documents?
Oh, I think it was Gatewood. It was done by my people.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay, so.
I think young Michael Gatewood did it.
Okay, so let's just have legal counsel just review it, just to make sure that it is indeed a mirror image of what we had before, and to ensure that does any other language
Go ahead.
need to be added, in there as far as current, license agreements are concerned?
If you're going to prepare a new document for the license agreement, it would be my suggestion that you add reference to the easement that's been granted to the GPO over the front of it. So there was an agreement between Smithbridge and the GPA and the GALC that when you granted the easement for the power line over the front, there's no reduction in the rental area for the Smithbridge lease area. And so you've now got an easement over 10 foot on the front of this license area. If you want to make your document accurate, I'm the licensee, so there's no problem. But if you're going to write a new document, you want to get it right. Because in future, if you're referring to this document again, you really should add in a clause to mention that the area that you're paying for includes an area that's got a 10-foot strip that's got an easement being granted over it. From my perspective, it doesn't worry me whether you do it or not. But if you're going to take the time to modify the document, you might as well do it properly and add something in for that.
I think we could move with just,
Noted.
I think we could move with just referencing Pearson's.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, Pearson's, mirror Pearson's without any document. We could just reference that and then have legal counsel draft it up. And then it mirrors it with the stipulations, with the easements.
I'll tell you what else you could do. If
Yeah.
you wanted to, I already paid for the lawyer to draft that
The
one
only
up.
thing
And
is
it's
we're
not
not
why
sure-
would you give the lawyers more money of your money to write another?
No, we're not sure.
Don't
We're not
wait.
sure if it mirrors it. That's
Just
the
get us to
problem.
check that it
Yeah.
mirrors it properly.
Yeah, we just have to make sure it really mirrors it. We don't know if it did, I don't see any horns on you though.
I
by the
think
way.
it did, and I don't think there's any problem, but
Yeah,
you might be better to just give him this one to review rather than pay him to write a new one.
okay. And we could do that with the motion that we're gonna, and then
And if
have
you
the
want-
legal counsels confirm that it mirrors Pearson's,
Yeah, and if you want
license.
to make it easy for me, you want a word copy of it, no problem, my guys will send it to you. If you want to get a word copy for the lawyer to look at of it, just to say
Yeah.
you'll be typing it.
Well, Mr. Smith,
And basically, that's what I said, is just to have the legal counsel review
Mr.
the
Chairman,
language. That's all.
Mr. Chairman, just so
I've got a very
Mr.
important
Mr.
issue for
Smith?
you.
just so you know that, for our license, agreements, our lease agreements, amendments, your signature will always have to be acknowledged.
No problem.
Yeah, so,
I,
yeah.
I appreciate that have to be
Yeah.
a proper notarized document.
Yeah.
But I was giving it to you to show you
draft,
that
yes.
this is the I approve this draft because you got it with my signature.
Yes, yes, sir.
I've got another very important point for you. Don't call me Mr. Smith, I'm Albert. It makes me feel old.
Okay,
Albert will be fine.
okay.
Okay, so how we're gonna, do? We're gonna wait until our legal counsel reviews it?
I think I believe you can take action and. then-
Yeah, I think we can, yeah, we can take action and have our legal counsel,
Work on that.
review it and,
Yeah, I'll send it to him before I leave today. I'll send him all these agreements and then I'll review it and then he can comment. And then if there's anything of great concern.
So the motion is subject to legal counsel's
yeah,
Review and approval.
that it mirrors,
Yeah, review and approval.
yeah.
Yes.
So the language with the easements, I'm not sure if that should be in there, but you know, you're saying it should be in there somehow.
It makes no difference to me, but if I was you, I would put it in there. Because if there was a clever dick on our side and it wasn't in there, they might want to be smart and not pay the rent for the bit under the easement. That was the same issue with the easement for our lease.
Okay.
So the deal with the easement, there's no reduction in the rent that we still have to pay for the easement. every year.
And,
So if some smarty pants on our side wants to,
But thank you for that, Albert.
it's not our style, but sometimes we hire people that are bits of smarty pantses.
Vice
Well,
Chair,
in the last meeting, Commissioner Camacho did
Okay,
ask, if
just-
we were gonna request a reduction of the rent, and I already committed that we would not.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, that's good.
just a
Vice
final
Chair,
review, final review.
Vice
I
Chair.
just like to freshen up my memory. Tony, I hear Tony there. Tony, what's the total lease monthly payment will we be as a result of this amendment?
Say that again.
What's the total amount of the monthly payment that GALC will be
10
receiving?
acres times 1,100 is
It'll be-
11,000. Plus half an acre at 550 is 11,550.
Okay, that's good.
I'm
sorry,
sorry,
Vice Chair,
can you repeat the question for which lease?
10,000 times.
The total, Tony,
1650. I'm sorry,
The total that Smith Bridge is paying now for the usable 10-acre property of Polaris?
right, monthly.
It's 10.5 times
It's
11.
11,000 for the 10 acres. And then if we were to, I guess, approve the half acre, it'll be 550.
Okay.
So yeah,
It's 11,550.
correct.
sorry,
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
my bad.
Okay, yes, do the math.
11,550, my bad.
550.
Wait. I wasn't on there, but that's a good amount considering the racetrack that was getting 252 acres at $39 a month.
Yeah. No,
Hey, but
well, it's different, they have a business, they're making X amount of money. And
Hey,
I'm
we're-
very happy that you
we're-
guys employ, you know.
now we're a
local-
business
Mhm.
and the raceway is a not for profit.
Mhm.
So it's a little bit of an unfair comparison. We need to
Yeah.
pay a fair price.
Thank you. And it's nice that you do hire local. And some of the tough decisions do are local.
We
That's nice.
we like to think that we're local. Another 100 years, you might let us be treated as local.
We want to thank you.
Okay, can we move on the,
That's it.
on the Pearson of that part?
Yeah, but,
It's gonna be tentative. It's gonna be tentative. I mean, conditional on our legal counsel's verifying, yeah,
review and approval.
yes.
So it's for the license agreement.
License agreement for, that, Pearson. It is.
It's part of it, it's not the whole lot.
What's up?
It's part of the lot, it's not a whole lot.
Yeah, it's being 45. Of that, no, 45. 45? 45. Uh-huh. 45.
0.5.
Uh,
And
There's
that's,
a portion of Amber Harbor Road region, F12-R2.
and so it does mirror Pearson's, month to month, but 1 year with an option to renew for 2 years.
So we're not giving Pearson in it. They did a nice move, they made them pay for this. monthly pay.
Okay, so,
Need a motion.
well, yeah, we need a motion on the floor. Anybody up to making the motion? Okay, Commissioner Camacho?
To approve the license agreement for Smith Bridge in reference to Apple Harbor Reservation at 12-R2, which consists of about a whole acre.
As drafted in the license agreement presented today, subject to our legal counsel's review and approval.
Okay, could you please include in there it mirrors, it would mirror the Pearson?
Yes,
The
and the
perimeter.
condition is that it mirrors the Pearson license agreement, and to include the reference of a 10-foot easement.
Yes. Okay. So motion on the floor to approve our Smith Bridge request for a license agreement. Any second?
This is Commissioner Westling. I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor, aye? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No nays. Director, motion passes. So let me go into the, let's see. Let's go on the agenda here. Okay. Any further comments? No further comments?
I look forward to the next meeting when hopefully we're giving you the published solution. Thank you
Okay.
for your help.
So just Marcy, Smith Bridge for being here today. I'll have a comment from Commissioner Macho.
Just like to thank, Albert,
Yeah.
for your patience, putting up with the conversations and stuff. It's really important that every decision we make is vetted amongst the members, and I think that we're just trying to do our jobs, but thank you for your patience and, also for the presentation. It was well prepared and
The reason why we're here, it's our intention to become a 30-year tenant of your organisation. And part of the objective is for you to get to know us and for us to get to know you. So up until now, we've had agency, we had Dan Swavely working for us and others, and we made the decision that if we're going to work with us for the next 30 years, we better make the effort to get to know each other.
so when we meet at the DPO, we say hi.
Can do.
But you be the first one to say.
Yeah. Exactly.
Thank you, just Marcy, Martin. And please, let's take care of Mount Trashmore.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, a motion to adjourn?
Do we need to?
Uh,
talk about
Could I make one comment,
Oh, sorry,
please?
one comment. Oh, okay, Commissioner Westling, comment?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Mr. Smith, I would like to express my appreciation of your report and to fill to bring the board up to the knowledge of your company. I think it answered a lot of questions. And so I appreciate you presenting that today.
No problem, thank you. I said we appreciate working with you, sir.
By the way, I'd like to add that I did have a site visit yesterday with Gita. Although it was last minute, they got a hold of me on Thursday. It was an experience, and Smith Bridge is opening the site visit at any time. To any of the board members who wants to go down, and it really is a sight to see. So that's open at, basically it will be Superman.
Yep.
Clark over here, that'll probably.
Superman will take you around. No problem.
Okay,
So we have a construction team there still at the moment. The construction team the guy's name is Chris Holder, runs the construction site. We'll have an occupancy permit next week from
yeah,
the Department of.
and you're
Public
just getting your
Works.
occupancy
And
now.
then, yeah,
right?
and then we'll hand the site over, and then from then on, it'll be one of Clark's subordinates that'll be looking after the site.
Oh, I see, awesome,
Congratulations on.
congratulations.
So it's very satisfying for us. It's gonna be a very good facility.
I think so.
Okay.
Thank you,
Also, all the work that you put into this debris issue, I appreciate that.
really.
Yeah, hey, it's
And we look forward to, just protecting our environment. Our island is so small, we don't
we've got a,
excess land.
Yeah, we don't
to-
want to see that off of a cliff somewhere or something like that. You know, we were thinking whoever was gonna come in, find some way to, yeah, put it off a cliff or something.
we're the same. We don't want to be part of that stuff either.
Yeah, so next challenge.
Thank you again. Albert?
No, it's all good. So we hope to be back next time. Hopefully we're talking about a 30-year lease.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have our game face on.
Talk to the legislature about that.
You know,
Yeah, as I said to you, Rob, and you guys have got to think quite hard, and if I was in your shoes, I'd be doing some research about it. This business will pay rent relative to what we can earn. There's one potential tenant that might come to you that might want to pay you a whole lot more money for it. And so that's if Uncle Sam wants the property. If Uncle Sam needs it for a war, he's not going to ask us, he's just going to
He's gonna
tell us
take
to
it.
give over. You know, we know that's what happens in those circumstances, but if they wanted to develop and they wanted to pay you a lot more for it, then it might be that there needs to be some clause written into the long-term lease to give you the right, year's notice or 2 years notice.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Because your guy's job is to get as much money as you can for the property for the owners. So you got to be thinking about that. You mustn't be ashamed of what your responsibilities are. You're here to do the best you can for the land trust. I'm here to do the best I can for my business. I'm not ashamed of that either. That's just,
course.
we have to work together to meet those objectives.
Exactly.
In the end, the best agreements are fair, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so there might be some thoughts about how you set that up.
Again, thank you
Mm.
for your
All right.
presentation today. Thank you. I'd like to thank Gita too for being here, and welcome Johnny. This is
Thank
Johnny.
you.
She's the new
RPD.
RPD at Gita. And commissioners, thank you. Commissioner Westling, Vice Chair.
Yeah, Mr. Albert, when it's time for that
Thank
big,
you to staff
big
and-
extension,
Thank
we
you.
will get to that point.
Yeah.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
See you next time. Thanks a lot, eh?
Motion to
All right.
adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, this
That's
is
it.
what time? 5:15. This meeting is adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you, John.